rifle in his hand, don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authoritative man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the signs appear, it's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandra, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, all those in Battle Creek, Michigan, Austin, Texas, Hell, Michigan, Butte, Montana, Buffalo, New York, Bangor, Maine, which I got to tell you, I do think we missed as one of the cities. Anything that's Bangor, that's a good time, by the way, just for the record. Bangor, Maine, Walla Walla, Washington. Yeah. There you go. There you go. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, the my own personal Wikipedia. Not your Wikipedia, by the way. My personal Wikipedia. Just for the record, for those of you that are trying to be confused on whose Wikipedia it is. The Duchess of Doing Stuff. Tribley's by far most favorite libertarian. Also, Hernando County's favorite libertarian, in case you were looking.
Orange County.
Orange County's favorite woman, actually. Danielle Alexandra, good morning, Danielle. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Are you well?
I am. Having a little computer issue over here, but I'm
Are you having some computer issues?
I am.
All right, then. Sorry to hear about your luck. I hopefully you get that fixed, because if you have computer problems, then we have show problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Also in studios with us, the Prime Minister of the Sinister, a gentleman that is wearing a peace shirt even though he is prepared for war.
That's right.
A person that looks very happy today, but we could probably find a way to piss off. His name is Greg Bowen. How are you doing, sir?
Spectacular. It's a psychotic happiness.
It's a psychotic happiness? That's a good time. That is definitely a good time. I myself am in a very good mood, actually.
Yeah.
I would imagine that the roller coaster that is known as the show today, though, I'm going to give an over-under for number of rants at 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that 2 is a fair number. I don't think I'm going to go over the 2, but we'll see. Only time will tell. It's early in the show. But from the updates I've seen, I'm feeling pretty good. Well, kind of. Maybe 3. Maybe we're going to go with 3 on this one, though.
Well, we're doing a Tallahassee update, so you may have a few more.
Yeah.
There may be 3 just in that hour.
Well, yeah, but some of the stuff didn't pass. So, I mean, their own ineptitude up in Tallahassee actually proves themselves. Like, who knew that being inept could be a good feature unless you're a representative in Tallahassee?
Well, and there's some updates that even you guys don't know about on some of the stuff we've been watching. So, but we'll get to that in the second hour because I'm going to do a whole Tallahassee update. But there's a lot of bad stuff going on, which always happens when all of those guys get in the same building.
Yep.
That's good. You're right. You're absolutely right about that, by the way, Danielle. All right, where are we going to go first?
It's raining.
There's a lot going on.
It is raining here. It's pouring rain, but
hold on a second. Weather report from Danielle.
Thanks. But it is not
You're
nearly
welcome.
as bad as it is up in North Florida. And in North Florida, it's actually we're under a state of emergency for the entire Panhandle because they got like 2 feet of rain in one day on Wednesday. And it kept raining even yesterday. So there's a lot of flooding going on in the Panhandle. A lot of people are actually traveling around in boats and things like that. And the governor has already pledged some aid over there and some help over there and has declared a state of emergency over in North Florida.
You know, I got to tell you, it's always during state of emergencies that is the hardest to ever describe being a libertarian.
Yeah.
Just for the record, it really is the hardest time to ever describe being a libertarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the hardest time to try to tell people that you don't need government.
Yeah.
Yeah, when everybody's waiting on a government truck to show up with food and water.
Yeah, because the weather destroyed everything you owned.
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough time.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what is your guys' answer for that, by the way?
Well, I actually feel like on a state level and on a local level, the government that is their function.
Yeah.
Emergency services?
Yeah, that's actually one of the services that government provides that I don't really take issue with. I think that emergencies, unforeseen events, that's kind of what they're there for. They're kind of the back, just like the fire department, police department, paramedics. The emergency management services to some degree is something that's useful.
So you feel that this should happen on a state level, though, not on a federal level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you don't believe in FEMA.
See, and I'm not necessarily opposed to some sort of federal department as well, because these natural disasters can cross state lines. I mean, hurricanes don't just hit Florida. And there are a lot of hurricanes and natural disasters that cross state lines, and people in more than one state are damaged by it. So I don't necessarily think that some level of federal emergency management is all bad. I think as it currently is, they have way too much power and do way too much. But
yeah, see, I believe it should totally be at the states. I actually am opposed completely to a federal emergency management because I feel like, listen, if every state has emergency management, some are going to be better than others and more equipped for certain emergencies, because obviously in Nebraska they're not having hurricanes, they're having tornadoes and things like that.
Yeah, if they are, they're just screwed.
Right. But I think that those states will just naturally help you. Like if Florida and Georgia and Alabama are all hit by a horrible storm, I think you will see the country just voluntarily states will send their people down and help out, which we see anyways, and that happens anyways. So I don't necessarily like I don't like the central control of it by the federal government, but I do believe that emergency management is the proper role of government, especially on a state and local level.
My worry about leaving it all up to the states is that some states may not be able to sustain an emergency management system, and then an emergency strikes and they have nothing, or they're just completely unprepared because their own state emergency management was not funded, was not properly run.
Man, those states should burn anyway.
Well, I think if those governments were only focused on protecting the rights of the people in states of emergency,
right,
then it would be pretty easy to do. But we actually in Florida, and most of the time, FEMA actually doesn't come in here for a whole lot. Because we actually have one of the best state emergency management systems in the country. So up until at least about 10 years ago, the federal government almost never stepped in at all because we did handle it all within our state.
Yeah.
Be a hurricane state. That's what happens, man.
Exactly. We know how to take care of it.
You gotta learn how to deal with that kind of crap.
And see, that's the thing. Florida, we can handle it.
Right.
Look
us.
at New Jersey. They were wholly unprepared to deal with a hurricane.
Yeah.
And
then again, so was FEMA.
I didn't. Yeah. But I didn't really feel that bad about it because people up there always make fun of us. They're like, "Oh, Florida's getting hit with another hurricane. They deserve it. Yeah, that's what you get for living down there."
Well, here's the thing. At the end of the day, it hit a bunch of people from Jersey. I mean, to be honest with you, some of those people probably needed a shower anyway.
Yeah.
If you got to force a little shower on them with the weather, look, that's nature infringing on your rights, not me. So you can't get mad at me.
Well, and I think even in a situation like that, a place like Florida that does have an amazing emergency management system when it comes to hurricanes, then we go and help them, which a lot of times, even though the state itself didn't actually send people up to help, all of the EMS services that were from companies like communications and things like that were all asking their people, do we have some volunteers that we can send you up there? And they did. So all of the trained, emergency management in the private sector actually were up there helping other states and tend to always do that.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. Good times.
But yeah, so the Panhandle is underwater, so we're definitely hoping that everything goes well and that nobody's harmed and that, they can see some water receding soon.
Yeah, I hope so. A lot of good Wiley supporters up there.
Yeah.
Want to make sure that they're allowed to get to the polls.
It flooded our stronghold.
Luckily, we've developed a new stronghold this week. We're in the process of developing another stronghold this week.
That's that government agency designed just to get in our way at work again.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Wiley's polling high in the panhandle. Let's flood them.
Yeah, flood that. Maybe that weather device is true. Those bastards.
It's HARP.
By the way, though, there is, and I don't think I've talked about this on the radio before, but Greg just alluded to it. There is a government agency in charge of getting in my way, and I found out this morning that Greg is now not part of being in my way, but he is now being affected by the same government agency.
Yes, I'm on the list.
Basically, they take a bunch of people on welfare, is what they do, and they give them cars. And then they just say, at a certain point, drive around, like, they know where I'm at, and then they put cars in front of me when I'm driving. It happened to us at going down to the Keys. I didn't realize that it was outside the local area. It is in the Keys. The government agency is there, and they put a lot of cars in front of me. Danielle.
It was such a long drive to the Keys because we were already in Miami. We had some clients that we had to see in Miami. It was actually for our job. And then we decided, we'll go down and see Adrian down in the Keys once we were done with work. And so and anyone who's driven down there knows there's only one way to get to Key West, and that's US 1. Mm-hmm. There is no other road you're going to take.
The only other way is by boat.
Or swim, and it's a long swim. So you have to be down this one road. Now, this is not like this big highway. It's not like this 2 or 3 or 4 lane highway. I mean, it is a 2-lane. It is 2 lanes. That's it. There's no passing. So if you're behind someone that is driving slow, you're going to go slow. And if you're behind 15 people driving slow, as one turns off, you're still driving slow, which is exactly what we experienced.
That's true. That's very true. It irks you, man. Because you know what, man? They're not going fast enough to where you can't just have to put on they put on the brakes. Look, when you're driving down the Keys, man, sometimes there ain't a red light for like 25, 30 miles, man. So there's no reason for you to put on your brakes. If you're putting on your brakes, you're just trying to be a dick to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're singling me out and you're trying to be a dick to me, and I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was a very long, tedious drive because everyone was doing about 5 to 8 miles under the speed limit. And it was just 15 or 20 cars in a row. So one would pull off and you're like, yeah, all right. And then you'd be like, oh, yeah, but you're right there and you're going just as slow.
Yeah, they alternate. One will go off, and then it's like a thing, where one goes off, and they're like, all right, next. All right, 7 Bravo, I'll get out there. He's coming, get out there.
So,
this is not a drill. Snicker is on the road.
So it was a very long drive, but we did have a great time in Key West. Adrian had a couple good campaign events. You had never been down there, so we actually drove around so you could see actually just Key West a little bit.
Correct. That was fun.
It was great, and then we made the 7.5-hour trek back. But as soon as we got onto 75, there was an accident, and we were in that traffic for like 2 hours.
Yeah, because they also cause accidents too. Accidents are inside jobs when I'm driving. In case you didn't know.
And he's like, wasn't it because I have the GPS on my phone that shows accidents and stuff, like it gives you like that little warning over and it wasn't there, and he's like, didn't you get the little thing? I'm like, no, it wasn't there. But there's obviously one here because we ain't moving.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. All right, guys. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into what do you want to get into next?
Well, obviously the big story, the big story we're not talking about because I refuse to spend 3 hours like every other radio show talking about something that has absolutely no bearing on anything important in life.
Yeah.
So
Pop-Tart pastry guys?
Yeah, hold on. No. Let's break it down like this. Breaking news. There's an old billionaire that's racist. Imagine
In
that.
case you didn't know, almost all of them are.
Yeah. So
There's a reason why there's a bunch of white billionaires and really no black billionaires. Oprah, that's about it. That's what we got.
I could.
We don't have Oprah, though, because Oprah's racist, too, by the way.
Good point.
So we're not spending 3 hours talking about that. In fact, I won't even mention his name because I'm so disgusted that for the last 2 days on the road, all we could hear about was this stupid story that doesn't matter at all.
Well, the only thing I will say about the whole situation is that what you see is, as a society overall, we're really not racist.
Right.
The reaction to that guy kind of proves that.
Right.
We're not racist. Moving on.
Right.
You know, and that's the one point Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson don't want to make because, you know, their money's tied up in racism.
Yeah, because as soon as we found out this guy was a racist, everyone started boicoting and, you know, basically...
They're going to take that man's team from him.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to take the team that he owns away from him.
Yeah, so, you know, whatever, we're already moving on because I believe that the bigger story that nobody's talking about because of this stupid guy is what's going on with Benghazi and some of the new emails that have come out and been released that definitely show that the White House was trying to spin the story the whole time. And, you know, there definitely was some things going on, at least after the incident, that just shows rampant corruption and no regard for human life whatsoever.
Yep.
Yeah, this one was a smoking gun, to be honest with you. You know what's funny is watching the media actually starting to go after Jay Carney. And Jay Carney, that little communist, only based off of the pictures he has in his own house. Jay Carney, the little communist, just straight lying about it. Like you've been caught, and Jay Carney's like, no, you know. Jay Carney's turning more into Baghdad Bob every day. He really is. Jay Carney is Baghdad Bob. He's the Obama administration version of Baghdad Bob. But, man, that guy is really such an evil bastard, though. Really is. I mean, these guys have proven themselves more to just be more evil by the day. Like, they stood down. They did the whole thing. It was the CIA. They were running guns. Like, look, Reagan did this stuff, and he had to go to, you know, they had the Iran-Contra scandal over something like this. And the other thing is this. And I don't know if we as a movement should necessarily take this angle, but at this point, can't you safely say that Al-Qaeda has been funded and armed for a long time by America, and we have all the proof that we've ever needed for it? I mean, look, you got a picture of Al-Qaeda sitting with Reagan. Well, they called him the Mujahideen at the time, but you got one sitting with Reagan when they were fighting the Russians. That's why you armed them to begin with. But then they got out of control, but you keep feeding them. So after now they bomb us on September 11th. They go after all of us in all these different places. What's their thought process? Well, let's overthrow a country like Libya and give them that country and arm them there because it'll be different there, of course, right? Like, what the hell's going on? We are giving Al-Qaeda weapons. Benghazi and Libya proves it. Proves it. When are we going to have this real conversation? You go, well, that's a wild conspiracy theory. No, that's what happened, dicks.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Reagan
Daniel,
dedicated
go
the
ahead.
launch of the shuttle Columbia to the Taliban.
you guys watch Rambo 3?
No.
Yeah, I have.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I thought Osama bin Laden was in that movie.
Yeah. Rambo was helping Osama bin Laden in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality.
I mean, they didn't call him that, but
No, they didn't call him Osama. They didn't call him the...
because he was a CIA,
Al-Qaeda.
because he was being paid by the CIA at the time.
Well, actually, the Rambo movies are probably the most accurate military movies.
Minus how many people he's able to kill, but
Right. But the amount of
Well, they took a
information
little-
that the government tells us about what's really going on and like who they're sending. If you die, no one's coming after you.
Yeah.
No one knows about this mission, and no one's going to know about this mission.
Well, I mean, they took a little, artistic liberty there with the movie, but, it's like based on a true story that you haven't ever heard before.
yeah, yeah.
Made us think that Rambo's Chuck Norris or something.
Yeah, exactly. There's only one Chuck Norris. But they have been caught, though, pretty much red-handed with lying about what this thing was all about. And, what they haven't done is they haven't really admitted the truth. And the truth is they were running guns.
Well, and here's the thing, and we don't have that. A lot of people are calling this the smoking gun, and I don't believe that it is because this is still 3 days after the event. So 3 days after, were they misleading the public? Absolutely. There has to be a reason why they were misleading the public, because there was something they didn't want the people to know, and that's what we still don't have concrete evidence of.
I think the reason they were misleading the public is because that's their default position and that's what they fall to immediately on everything. So that's what they started to do, whether they should have or not.
But to say it was incited by this video, I think when there was no evidence of that at all, I just think that there had to be a reason. Instead of just saying, we don't know what started the attack, we're looking into it, they immediately came out with this, well, it was sparked by this video. And, and there was clearly no evidence of that, which is something that was found out, very quickly, that there was no evidence that video had anything to do with anything. So, I have to wonder why they had to come out so quickly to mislead the public, which obviously shows that there was something there that they wanted to make sure no one found out. We haven't found the smoking gun of what that is. That to me is the smoking gun, when we have evidence of what they were actually hiding.
No, I got you there. I mean, but it is on record, by the way, that they were arming Al Qaeda over there.
Oh, absolutely.
That's on record, though. I mean, I'm not to. I know I'm making a funny with the on record stuff, but seriously, though, on record, we gave Al Qaeda arms over there.
Well, they don't even deny that.
No, not at all. They try to justify it, actually.
Right. This isn't something that we've found this document that says it. No, they tell us that.
They just try to spin it in such a nice way.
Right.
And then, you guys got guys like Rubio, like, we should have been in there earlier. Like, oh, gosh. Boy, aren't you people in Florida glad you made that decision, huh?
That's not how this works.
It's not how any of this works.
That's not how any of this works. It's like my favorite commercial right now.
I love that commercial.
Yeah. I'm putting it on my wall.
I unfriend you.
I unfriend you. We honestly, as things happen, we have used that line. Like, I use that line like almost daily because we're in the middle of session. So as I'm watching this, session and talking to people, I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
That's become like the go-to line in our house.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't find this the smoking gun. I think that at least we're on the right track, although the media is definitely more interested in a racist NBA owner than they are an actual real scandal that affected people and people's lives, and 4 people died.
Yeah. And again, if you're looking for private racist telephone conversations, look, the NSA has all that stuff taped anyway.
Right.
Why not they had the Sterling tapes already. Just put them out then if that's the case, I mean, what's wrong with you? And again, if we're really going to start judging racism this way, we're going to have to take Spike Lee's movies away from him. We're going to have to take Jay-Z's ownership of the Nets away from him, too. I'd like somebody to look back into some Jay-Z stuff, and you tell me. There's a lot of people you got to start taking people out on. You know what I mean? It ain't going to be just white people. It's going to be all kinds of races, because there's a lot of racism out there. Racism itself is a collectivist mentality, when there's a whole lot of collectivists in this country.
I literally had to listen.
A little too many for our own good.
Listen to at least 1 hour of talk radio where they only debated whether racism was the correct term or whether they should call it bigotry.
Oh yeah, that was another one. They're really hurting for all that stuff. You know what? I don't even want to give it any more time. Let's just move on.
I was so disgusted. But and what really disgusts me about having all of this be 24/7 on the news is that real important things happened.
Right.
This week, really important things.
Exactly.
The Supreme Court denied that there was legal standing to challenge the indefinite detention provisions of the NDAA. So the Supreme Court will not hear it. They will not allow the cases to even be heard. They said that there's no legal standing, there's no substantial support. So these basically have become legal under, the Supreme Court's terms, that these are perfectly fine for you to be indefinitely detained without your Fourth Amendment rights without being charged with anything, without a trial. They can just hold you forever. You can just disappear.
Wow.
Yay.
But who will pick the good Supreme Court justices? Who's going to pick the right ones that are going to do the right thing and protect us, right? Is it Democrats or Republicans? No, neither one.
Neither. No.
Sorry about your luck.
These guys.
And they're and a lot of their kind of determination for this is because of the detention of the Japanese Americans in the 40s and and in 1944 the Supreme Court approved it. Mm-hmm. So basically they're saying, that there's precedent that these things can happen in times of war and things like that. So, when people say, "Oh, but they wouldn't really use it," well, they already have.
Yeah. Talk to George Takei.
Like, if you want to tell that lie to make yourself believe it, then you have to put the word "again" after the rest of it.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it again.
Exactly.
Because they did it the first time. Look, we are living in many ways anarchy already. Well, that's not really true. I guess it's like totalitarian anarchy. It's anarchy for all the people up there because they can do whatever they want. They make up the rules as they go along. They don't have to worry about anybody else. But for the rest of this, man, these guys are just authoritarian psychopaths. And if you think you're going to get any relief up in at the Supreme Court, man, I got news for you, man. You're not going to get any of that stuff. Just scumbags all on, Alito, all of them. There's nobody good up there. And it just goes to show you that left or right doesn't really matter. Look, they'll go 3-4 on some stupid issues, but when it comes to this, man, they're unanimous. We don't want to touch it.
Well, last week we were talking about another Supreme Court ruling where the people that you would not think were on our side, basically protecting rights, were, is Sotomayor and Elena Kagan were the ones that were like, oh, really? Well, they got that one right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the Supreme Court does base a lot of their rulings on legal precedent. So if one, and obviously the people that were on the Supreme Court in 1944 are not there now, but they set a precedent, and these guys will follow it because that overrides almost anything in court. Legal precedent is a standard in court where if you've by weird chance gotten an odd ruling, all of a sudden now judges will rule that way forever. Mm-hmm. So. And that doesn't change even in the Supreme Court. So basically, the Supreme Court of today said, well, in 1944, they thought it was legal, so okay, it's legal.
Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble here, folks. We're in a lot of trouble here. I guess I wasn't expecting the Supreme Court to do anything about this one because, they're just not going to do that.
No.
But, really. You thought that at least we're going to play around with this one for a little bit. Like, before they just, blew it all up.
It.
Yeah, at least hear it. But, we're not going to hear that. We don't really care about that.
Bill of Rights is irrelevant.
Yeah, it's more of a guide.
Yeah,
They're more like guidelines, really.
And so that's, they didn't even hear it. So it's not even like anyone was able to even make the case for or against these provisions in the NDAA. They literally said nobody had legal standing.
Yeah. Everybody's being watched? No, we don't care.
Yeah. You can be detained for absolutely no reason with no due process and no actual even formal charges. Sure, okay.
Yeah, go with it. Have a good time on a Friday.
What happened to those checks and balances?
Yeah, well, they all got balanced. They all got balanced.
They all got checked.
And now it's just a straight line.
Yeah.
It just goes from one to the next with their little stamp of approval. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait. We need to look like we're fighting about this. You say something different.
Yeah, you say that we should be doing this, and I'll say that we shouldn't, and then we'll argue, and then I'll call you a name, and then we'll go out and have drinks, and
then I'll put you in the power bomb. I'll pin you. The crowd will go wild. We'll go backstage.
I'll make it up to you. I'll pay for the double teaming you do with the Vietnamese hooker.
I do have to say, modern politics have become a lot like professional wrestling. That it's completely scripted. Mm-hmm. The fights are absolutely fake. and pre-organized, where it's like, you're going to lose, I'm going, this time this person's going to win, this one's going to be the champion at the end, but then next year it's going to all change. And it's completely scripted. These guys know. And then after the cameras turn off, they're like, hey, man, let's go for a drink.
Yeah. I make that analogy all the time. In fact, I came up with a commercial and wrote it all out and sent it into the Gary Johnson campaign. Apparently, they didn't have any money for commercials, though. But. Hey, it was an idea.
Maybe you should have sent $10 with that.
Gary Johnson did have that one, the YouTube commercials. I think he put out like 3 of them.
Yeah.
But that very first one is still the best political commercial I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
I did love the first one, though. The first one did give me goosebumps.
And, I mean, we played it over and over and over again for months.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing it back like it was a hit.
Yeah.
That's my jam.
I love this track.
Hit the rewind on that.
And we would just, have a bad day, and it'd be like, let's play that Gary Johnson commercial.
Yeah.
So we need to play that again at some point. That was a good one. Now, Gary Johnson did come out and basically make a statement this week to some press that says that he is going to be, possibly running in 2016, and he will be running on the Libertarian ticket if he decides to run, but it's a good possibility. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But hopefully he can change some stuff up there and, actually win this time. But what another kind of big story that did happen in Washington is that the vote on raising minimum wage was actually blocked. So they didn't even get to vote. We will not hear, they're basically, this isn't going to happen this session. You're not going to see a raise federally of the minimum wage. Okay.
So no federal minimum wage increase, but didn't Seattle raise the federal their minimum wage?
Yeah, Seattle actually went ahead and did it, and not even to the 10-10 that was being debated. They raised the minimum wage to $15.
Yeah. So I'm sure all the people who were making $15 an hour 2 days ago are just feeling really great about themselves.
Oh yeah, they just got a demotion.
Yeah.
That $15 an hour job where you're like, wow, I've worked my way up. I've done well. I'm starting to do well, and I put in a little bit of time. Now you're making the same as the burger flipper at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Your job means nothing.
I got a weird take on this stuff. First off, I'm totally opposed to a minimum wage. However, with that being said, I think that if you were going to have a minimum wage, it is set way too low right now. But this is a great teaching tool for people to understand inflation.
Right.
Because the reason that you have a low minimum wage right now is that your money has been stolen by the banks. Mm-hmm. And the way it was stolen was through inflation. Is that they printed a lot more money, didn't give any of it to you, saved it all for themselves, but in printing all that money, it made your money worth less, so you can't go out and buy the stuff that you wanted to buy. Now, you can get mad at the Republicans for saying that they don't want a minimum wage, and that's perfectly understandable, but they're not the guys necessarily, they're part of the guys that stole your money, but they're not the only guys that stole your money. The Democrats stole your money too, but in all reality, they were just puppet masters for the banks anyway. The banks stole your damn money. The bankers, the Fed stole your money. I'm opposed to a minimum wage because you can't do anything with it. I mean, it doesn't work that way. A minimum wage is not going to help the little guy. The reason the unions are all about it is not because their people get minimum wage, nor do they care about the people that are getting minimum wage. Remember, unions care about their members. They don't care about everybody. They are paid by their members, and they care about their members. Everything that they say about workers' rights is BS. It's their workers' rights. Because if they got to screw somebody else over in order to make sure that their people got taken care of, then they'll do that. And then they'll try to justify it and say, well, we're getting some stuff. We're getting some benefit for that. You talk to them and you say, well, I don't want to join your union, and find out how they treat you then. And you tell me if they're working for everybody or they're working for themselves. But the other part of it is this minimum wage fight, and this whole reason that it's making the news and it's all in there and stuff, is because they're trying to distract you from the fact that there are literally millions of jobs available right now that pay $30 an hour.
Right.
Or around about $30 an hour. Probably a little bit less, some a little bit more. There are literally millions of jobs, skilled labor jobs, that pay a lot of money. And they're looking for people. They're begging for people. If these people that are so worried about, they're like, when Obama comes out there and is like, they're voting against the middle class, that guy's got a bully pulpit right now that he could utilize to say, look, if you really want a job that's making more than $15 an hour right now, they're out there. You got to go out and find them because they're there. They're not that hard to find, but you're going to have to get some schooling in order to do that. But the schooling is not the 4-year crap Harvard Law School degree that this socialist in chief has. It's how to turn a wrench. You know what I'm saying? It's AC work. It's electrical work. It's being a plumber. It's and those jobs are we have a deficit of people there, man. We need more people for those jobs. It just sucks that they end up getting in this debate. Well, you don't care about the middle class because you're worried about you don't support giving them a $15 an hour job. Well, no, I totally support them guys getting a $15 an hour job. There's millions of them out there. Go take one of those.
Go give it the old community college try.
Yeah. But don't try to arbitrarily raise the minimum wage, which is going to get more people unemployed and is going to actually lose jobs in the fast food industry because they're going to figure for $15 or for $15 an hour, they'd rather just build a computer that will do it for you, and that way you can eliminate the human job anyway.
Yeah, $15 an hour minimum wage means you're going to be going through self-checkout at McDonald's now.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. And your burgers are going to be made by a robotic hand flipping them on the grill.
Yeah.
There's going to be like 3 people working in McDonald's and 2 of them are back there pushing buttons and making sure everything's plugged in.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Their tech support.
Yeah. Oh, God. Can you imagine tech support at a fast food place? Like, service is bad enough as it is now. Because you move. You shouldn't even eat. Because they're not going to care about you eating. You know what I'm saying? They're just not going to care.
I gotta tell you, like, so, and honestly, we go through a lot of fast food because we're on the road all the time, and at certain times of night, it's the only thing left open, and most of the time we have an absolutely lovely experience with someone who is does a good job. We get our food, but man, there are some times where I'm like, oh, come on, really? Like, you're not even qualified here.
Ain't that a bitch? But again, watching this debate on the minimum wage is funny, considering that there's 2 different conversations that we should be having as opposed to this conversation. The real one for the jobs is that we should be highlighting that there's millions of them out there already that are paying much more than what they want to raise the minimum wage to. And the other one is that the Fed stole your damn money, which is why wages did not keep up with inflation.
Well, and if you really...
And Danielle is right, whatever she's saying. Oh, can you open the window up, though?
Now, and there are places that there's actual companies where, and Hobby Lobby, which is, one that's demonized in the news for certain things, came out with a press release, I think 2 weeks ago, that basically says they're raising their minimum wage. Well, their minimum wage was already $9.50 an hour. You started out there at $9.50. Well, they're raising that to over $10. After a year or so, you get up to, you very quickly get up to $15 an hour. That's with full paid benefits, paid vacation, which is something not normally seen in the retail industry. You don't generally get paid vacations and things like that. But they've already done it. Publix, for as long as I can remember, that was the place to work. And they still are. Because even part-time employees, after a certain point, get full benefits. They get paid vacations. These are companies that have voluntarily decided, we're going to do this on our own. We're going to give raises very quickly. And they end up with very dedicated employees that work through the ranks up, to where they're store managers and even district and regional and things like that, because they've just learned that when you take care of your employees take care of your business.
Yeah, Costco does that too, right?
Right, Costco as well. Then there's tons of companies around the country that automatically just do this, only because they've notice that their company thrives when their employees are happy.
Now, let me ask you a question, and this is something that's been brought up, and I wanted to see what your guys' thought process is on this. Walmart. A lot of people complain about Walmart that their employees aren't paid nearly enough money, which what Walmart chooses to pay for, they choose to pay for. But one area that I hear a complaint on is that Walmart salaries are so low that, and Walmart knows, Walmart has an understanding of the system in and of itself. And that
they invented this system, by the way. So go ahead.
Well, I'm saying with the government though, when it comes to how much money you earn and what kind of benefits that you get and stuff like that. Like Walmart purposely pays those people lower because they know that the government is going to be there to take care of the rest.
Well,
and that having these Walmarts actually cost taxpayers money because of the component of what's the word I'm looking for here? Like you almost can blame them because they're doing it on purpose.
Well, I don't necessarily think that they're doing it on purpose. What I think is that they have a model, a business model that cut costs always to make sure that your price stays the lowest around. That their business model is do whatever you need to do to make sure that it's on your shelf cheaper than anywhere else. So to do that, that means they do have to cut costs all around. If you go to, and they have it's in Arkansas, if you have a product that you want to get into Walmart, they basically will tell you you're using too high of manufacturing costs. You need to, send your manufacturing here. And they dictate to you how you're going to manufacture your product if you want it on Walmart shelves. You don't have to put it on Walmart shelves. You don't have to do what they say. But they have a business model where they keep all of their costs as low as possible because their business model is at all costs keep your price lower than anyone else. They're not looking at a customer service aspect. They're going to bring you back to their store because they're the lowest price around.
All right, fair enough. But you're saying that, so what you're saying is that unintended consequence of costing more money is an unintended consequence. And in a weird way, the people, this is going to sound funny, the people that are getting the good deals are paying for it in taxes.
Well, no, the people who are getting the good deals probably are the percentage of the population not paying taxes at all.
Here's my problem with Walmart. The system that Sam Walton started that is still in effect at Walmart today, Sam Walton is the one who started the practice of paying employees so little that they can only shop at your store.
Right.
And that's what they do to this day.
Right.
They make sure that their employees are paid so little they can only afford to shop at Walmart. You cannot afford to shop at Target or JCPenney or Publix or any other store because they will not pay you enough. It is planned. It is intentional. It all ties together. Their goal of keeping their prices so low is to make sure that people have to come to them.
Right. If you're in that lower bracket, that lower wage bracket, you have to shop at Walmart. If you ever go into a Walmart, most of us will say we hate going into Walmart. The customer service is shoddy. The store is always a mess. It's not a pleasurable shopping experience because that's not their business model. Publix's business model is based on customer service, not product. They want you to walk out of there feeling that you were just treated wonderfully, that you got an enjoyable shopping experience. And if you look at their business model, because I have, if you look through all of their goals, it is not about product. It is not about price. It is literally about customer service and making sure your shopping experience was pleasurable because they're not targeting the lowest income markets. They're targeting the middle to higher ones because they're targeting on customer service where someone's willing to pay a little more to feel happy when they've walked out of the store. Mm-hmm. Where Walmart's is, let's grab all those people that are dependent on the lowest price and they will have to shop with us regardless of how we treat them.
Yep. And that's why I shop at Target. I will pay a little more to not deal with the people that are at Walmart.
Target.
Anyway, we have a caller on the line.
All right. Caller, go ahead. You're on there.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me.
We can hear you fine. How are you doing, Karina?
Awesome. I just wanted to thank you for your show and maybe give a shout out to a regional event that's coming up in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, on Saturday from 4 to 7, the Clearwater MLK Junior Neighborhood Center is going to have walkthrough tours. That's at 1201 Douglas Avenue. And just recently, the Libertarian Party of Pinellas County adopted that neighborhood coalition as one of our community projects.
All right, that's cool.
And then the regional event is on Tuesday. It's called GiveDayTampaBay.org.
GiveDayTampaBay.org.
And it's basically 24 hours of online donations to all of the nonprofits in Tampa Bay.
All right, hey, Karina, you're breaking up pretty bad. It's to the point where it's actually not very legible.
Okay,
like you can't
sorry.
listen. That's okay, no problem. Greg's here though. He knows some of that stuff. We'll make sure we get to that.
Thank you.
Enjoy your drive.
Thanks. Bye.
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 All right.
Yeah, she was.
What was she saying, Greg?
What she was talking
Greggy
about.
Poo?
What she was talking about tomorrow. One of the projects that the Libertarian Party of Pinellas County has gotten involved in is the MLK Junior Community Center. For the people who don't know, there's a community center in Clearwater that's been closed down by the city. They opened a new community center, and so they stopped funding this other one, closed it down. The people in the neighborhood decided, hey, we still need this community center. The other one isn't convenient for us. We need this. So they're fighting City Hall to reopen the community center in their neighborhood, doing it against the government. The government's fighting them every step of the way, and they're saying, we don't need the government, we don't need you, we're going to get it open on our own. And
But who will block the community centers from opening?
exactly. To me, this is libertarianism in action. Action. There is a lot of talk of libertarian philosophy, but this is libertarianism in action, and
This ain't
that's
Facebook
what I love about
commandoing.
it. Exactly. There's no sitting behind a keyboard on this one.
Tell him, Danielle.
So what's happening tomorrow is there's going to be a walkthrough of the community center because we're looking for people to help us out with this project and donate money, donate time, whatever you can do. So they're doing a walkthrough of the facility tomorrow, so everybody can see what it is that they're investing in, basically, and hopefully drum up some support and get more people to help.
America.
The other thing she was talking about is Give Day Tampa Bay, which is May 6th. That's Tuesday. It's basically a kind of collective of all the nonprofits in the Tampa Bay area kind of working together to create one day to kind of build up some momentum and get everybody donating time, money, whatever they can.
They had to wrap that around a food truck rally. I want that barbecue chicken, man.
You wrap everything back around the food, don't you? But yeah, those
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, baby.
That's what's going on in Pinellas County that Karina was calling in about.
Thank you for the community update, Greg.
My pleasure.
Danielle?
Well, I have more stories to go through.
Let's do it, man. What's next, man?
This week also, the Senate removed disclosure from drone strikes from an intelligence bill. So basically, and we've heard this kind of go back and forth where there's this big kind of battle in what should be public knowledge and what shouldn't be. And you've seen Dianne Feinstein say, you shouldn't spy on people. You could spy on other people, but when you spy on me, it's bad. And, and a couple other people battling saying, well, no, the people should know these things. And then others saying, no, they should not. Well, there was going to be a section inside one of the intelligence bills that would make them have to disclose how many people were killed in U.S. drone strikes, killed and injured in U.S. drone strikes overseas. Well, they've now removed that, saying that it could be a security issue.
A security issue. So somehow giving us the final tallies of the people that you're murdering overseas is somehow a security issue?
Damn right.
Oh.
That is absolutely a security issue. They are all going to want to kill every single one of us once they find out just how many people we are killing indiscriminately with robots. We are flying robots over your towns and bombing you all.
Yeah. That is very intimidating, by the way. Like, I'd like, the parts of me at times thinks about, moving overseas. And the one thing that deters me from doing this is, like, I don't think that they're allowed to kill me with a drone in America yet. And I know that they're allowed to do it overseas, though.
Yeah.
like that is the worrisome part.
Yeah, so that's what keeps us here.
That's part of it. Part of it. I mean, we still got stuff to do, and I don't want to leave just yet. But part of it is, man, they're going to kill us if we leave.
We're getting to the top of the list.
Now, obviously, people are complaining because President Obama, when he was elected, said, he's going to bring transparency to the presidency and all this other stuff. And in every way, every time there's a push for more records being released, there's this pushback from the administration that, no, that's a security issue.
Yeah, you want to talk about running on the biggest campaign lie ever? Transparency was one of the biggest campaign lies of Barack Obama. I mean, by far the largest lie was that one.
Not entirely, because we all see right through.
Well, yeah, but there really are not. I mean, these guys are bugging the reporters. And every time a reporter says anything that's not glowing to the administration, they get a call from the administration. We need to talk about this.
Excuse me.
I mean, hell, look, MSNBC's best show, or the highest rating show, was thrown off the air and replaced with a black guy. You want to talk about affirmative action. Because that guy, Unger, who actually got more hits with his Young Turks YouTube show than he got on MSNBC anyway. Like, he was bringing class to the organization.
He was, it's like one of those, like, you need me more than I need you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Totally. They needed him way more than he needed them.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't always agree with him, but he was definitely the smartest guy on MSNBC while they had him.
The ratings actually showed that his show was actually doing a lot better than what they were normally getting. And they replaced him with Sharpton, who, I mean, Jesus.
When you replace anyone with Al Sharpton, you are really scraping the bottom of the barrel for talent.
You just show that your goal is not necessarily for quality programming or for ratings or for anybody actually watching.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's something totally different than that.
We have a higher rating than Al Sharpton's show.
We might, actually.
The live YouTube feed of an eagle's nest has higher ratings than anything on MSNBC. And there's like 16 hours a day where there's nothing going on that feed.
The eagle is gone.
It's just eggs sitting in a nest.
Are you saying people would rather watch eggs than Al Sharpton?
Absolutely.
There you go. And that's the way it was.
We could start. Would you like to watch this paint dry or Al Sharpton and see which one got you?
Yeah, like Al Sharpton is one of those guys that just, on a human level, just offends me.
Talk about racist.
We could come up with a show of paint drying on growing grass that would get higher ratings than Al Sharpton.
Like on the front of it is the grass growing, and on the back side of that video is the paint drying.
Yeah, we'll just leave the little blades of grass and watch them grow and watch them. Watch as the paint line gets smaller as the blade of grass grows.
We only laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah, because it is sad.
Not like Fox News is any better, because the only reason they actually have more viewers is because they put hot chicks on.
Yeah.
That is the reason why.
They put some hot chicks on.
They find the hottest blonde anchors they can and put them on TV.
And
you ain't lying.
And if you watch these older men will fight to the death that whatever that hot chick said is correct.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don't talk about Megyn Kelly like that.
I mean, they are angry with you if you even suggest that Megyn Kelly said something wrong.
I will tell you, I get a little mad when somebody says Megyn Kelly says something wrong, though, because she is hot, though. I'm sorry. They got me. They got me on Megyn Kelly, man. Megyn does it for me, man. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Maybe if MSNBC would get off Rachel Maddow, because ain't nobody looking at her and get on a hot chick.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, and MSNBC tends to find like the hags.
Well,
really, they really try to find the fuglies, and they put them on.
There's a guy that wears the glasses on MSNBC, and I don't even know his name because I never even leave the channel on long enough to really look at the names.
Oh, Hayes.
Yeah,
No. Is it Hayes?
He looks exactly like Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, him and Rachel Maddow actually do look the same. And they kind of talk the same, too. I actually do think it is a possibility that those two people are the same
person. Because they never show them on the screen together.
Well, and he would sub for her.
They're never in studio at the same time.
I mean, I'd have to go back to look.
I think just puts on the suit jacket and puts on the glasses and just keeps talking.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right, Rachel.
The other thing that annoys me about MSNBC, by the way, because I've watched probably more of it than I should have. But one of the things is that they're always about, well, we need to have this conversation about this, and we need to have this conversation, the national dialogue. You know what? All the crap you bring up ain't the national dialogue we should be having. Like, there's a whole different national dialogue that I think we should be actually having. But just the fact that you say national dialogue really just pisses me off. Like, and almost all the people that they interview on MSNBCs always start with the word so, and then they go into whatever they're going to be talking about.
Oh, that really annoys
so, and then, you know, that they do it on NPR too, which is the one thing about NPR that really irks me is that little commies channel. I mean,
that you love.
I do. No. I do. One, I'll tell you why I like NPR more than MSNBC. One reason is because a lot of the attacking Republican aspect of MSNBC is not necessarily on NPR. Like the blatant piss you off kind of attack stuff is not on NPR, but it is on MSNBC.
Well, yeah, and they talk in that really soothing voice. So even though they're condescending jerks, they sound like they're saying it nicely to you.
Yeah. And All Things Considered is not considering all things, by the way, just for the record.
They barely consider one thing.
Yeah, they just consider their thing. I do like some of the human interest stories that are on MSNBC, though. On NPR, not MSNBC. I'm sick of the jail stories on MSNBC, actually, but and all the fake outrage. You know what I mean? Like the fake outrage, and then you work for the working man. Like you guys are so full of crap. It's not even funny. You know. Even though Ed Schultz did have the guys for the microbreweries on, which I thought that was at least nice. Yeah. But the only reason he was doing that was because Republicans were doing it. If it was Democrats controlling Florida and that bill was going on, Ed Schultz would have been on saying that if you opposed them, you were racist against, if you wanted your beer to be from the brewery, you were racist.
We definitely in the next hour will go into what all happened because a lot happened this week with it. We were back and forth. All week long, I must have put out about 10 alerts throughout the entire week, and people were getting sometimes 2 emails in a day because things were changing so quickly. So I want to go through that in the next hour, what happened with that bill. And there's still kind of an ongoing battle. It still actually may be heard today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, we'll get into more of the breaking news aspect of it in the next hour.
Oh, okay. And we might have a really large announcement coming up in the next hour, by the way.
Yeah, depending on what's going on.
Depending on what's going on here, we might have a big announcement coming up here. Hopefully.
Yeah, it looks like it.
There is action going on in Tallahassee as we speak.
There's a lot of things going on right now. To be honest with you, there's a lot of business working. So Danielle's doing a good job. One other thing I wanted to mention. We only got a couple minutes left here before the break, anyway. So, one other thing I wanted to mention. We make jokes. We try to have a good time with the show, and we try to put an entertaining face on a lot of the stuff that is going on out there. But make no mistake about this stuff. Make no mistake about the seriousness of the battle that we are in, I guess is the thing I would say, the message overall. Because you have the Supreme Court not even wanting to hear about the government indefinitely detaining people without trial. They won't even hear it. You have just people being killed overseas. You got them trying to classify the drone strikes. You have all of this stuff going on, and they're coming for you. And you can go wild conspiracy or not, these guys are coming to control you. That's what they're coming to do. They are coming to control you. And if you get out of line right now, they are going to call you a terrorist. That's what Harry Reid did. They are comfortable with calling you a terrorist. Saying that you have the right for individual freedom in their mind is the same as being the Taliban, which they're giving the weapons to, like we talked about earlier. But you're the terrorist, not the guys overseas. You're the terrorist. The grid they set up, saying that it was because of what happened after 9/11 and they wanted to keep you safe, was to control you. And that the sooner you realize that that's what's going on, the easier it is to actually start to combat this stuff. So I really don't want you guys to give us the arguments anymore of, they're there for our freedoms. No, they're not, man. I'm sorry. They're just not there for that, man. It'd be nice if they were, but they're not. So, again, have a good time on a Friday. Laugh. Have fun. But at the same time, remember, these guys are coming for you. Act accordingly.
Well, we're taking a break.
But let's take a break.
We'll be right back.
Oh, and if you do want to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom. 1-800-525-4032. You're listening to Liberty Underground. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
The Libertarian Party of Florida is excited to announce the 2014 State Convention. Join libertarians and friends from across the Sunshine State to hear great speakers including 2016 presidential candidate Darrell W. Perry, the chair of the National LP Jeffrey Neal, plus Donald Belanti, George Phillies, Wes Benedict, Tony Stiles, and more. Be sure to reserve your seat early for the banquet Saturday evening with keynote speaker Judge Jim Gray. Jim Gray, the former judge of the California Superior Court and author of Why Our Drug Laws Are Failed, was Gary Johnson's 2012 presidential running mate. Arrive early to mix and mingle with friends at the Friday Night Social. All special events are open to the public, so even if you're not a registered libertarian, you are welcome to attend. The convention dates are approaching fast. Join us in Tampa Bay, May 16th through the 18th. Go to lpf2014.org to get your tickets today.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with camera. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
said the man with the rifle in his hand. Don't be mistaken, I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority, man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the sun appear, it's gonna happen.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandra, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Pete. Oh, we're good? Oh, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, the Duchess of Doing Stuff, my own personal Wikipedia, Danielle Alexandra. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
You doing well?
Yeah.
All right, good. Also, the Prime Minister of the Sinister, Greg Bowen. How are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
All right. Well, let's get into this. Let's get into this first. No, you want to? Which one do you want to do first? You want to do the breaking news first? All right. Well, breaking news on the line with us is Lucas Overby. He was the Libertarian candidate for Congress in the Pinellas County area. Was involved in the special election. At the end of the day, did not win that election. But Lucas is in the car right now, heading to Tallahassee for some reason. Lucas, you're on the air.
Hey guys, what's going on?
How are you doing, sir? Now, why are you driving up to Tallahassee?
Well, first of all, I have to say I have an immense amount of respect for Adrian and Bill, who make this kind of drive all the time. I can never do a statewide race. This is terrible.
I can understand.
I completely understand. It is very, very long and tedious.
Yes.
All right, so a little backstory. A couple weeks ago, we had announced that we weren't planning on running again in November. My family and I made that decision. Around that same time, I was approached by Reverend Manuel Sykes, who was running as a Democrat, to work with him on designing his policy, which I found to be a very interesting offer. He has been extremely fun to work with, extremely great to work with. I was very much looking forward to getting to bring a lot of liberty ideals out through a Democrat and really show that liberty isn't owned by one major party. Good candidates exist everywhere. Unfortunately, it's difficult to run that kind of candidate without their party having strong backlash. And Reverend Sykes, unfortunately, was pushed out of the race by the leadership in his own party. He and I discussed it at great length over the weekend, and the concept of me possibly getting back in came up. We announced yesterday that we were exploring the possibility of getting back into the race, and as of right now, I am about 70 miles outside of Tallahassee to turn in my paperwork, and I will be running as the Libertarian for the United States House, District 13, in November.
Now, there's something. Yeah, let's all get. Now, there's something interesting that's going on here, though, is that because of the problems that were going on in the Democrat Party, because of laws almost being violated at this point, or rules being violated, that there is not going to be a Democrat challenger. Is that the case?
That is the case, and I double-checked before I got on the air with you. As of right now, there is still no Democrat qualified for the race. And then that factored largely into our decision to get back in. I personally just couldn't do a coronation in November without giving a challenge to it. I believe every race should have an election. Every race people should have the right to vote in it. So we're not going to let the issues of the Democrat leadership just dissuade that, and we're going to step back in and give people that choice.
Wow. And so this race, the way that it's shaping up right now, then, is going to be you against David Jolly. So a Libertarian against a Republican, and no Democrat challenger.
There's a write-in.
And there's a write-in. But, again...
The Leviathan apparently is back. So, yeah, there will be a write-in.
There will be a write-in on that. But a write-in doesn't... Again, write-ins just don't really fare I mean, everybody's got to know your name.
Listen, at the end of the day, I think that, we want people to report on our candidates fairly. This person has filled out paperwork to be a write-in candidate, and I feel like we need to say that too.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, but
it's that candidate. That candidate is Michael Levinson, the write-in candidate from the special election. So we will be hearing from him again as well, I believe.
So when's the last opportunity that someone has in order to file for this race?
I'm going to be getting there about 15 minutes before. Noon today is the end of qualifying. It's been a very, very long 24 hours for us trying to figure out the logistics of this. We were very happy with the people that stepped up to help us with the qualifying fee and make this possible. So as of right now, I should be getting into town about 11:15. So by the time I'm in the office, we have about 20 minutes to get it done.
Wow. Boy, talk about it. Well, when it comes to something like this, though, you're going to have to do it at the last minute, because what happened was after the race and, after the special election race, Zoller was supposed to challenge Jolly in the Republican primary. He dropped. Sink's wasn't going to run again. Then the Democrats do what they did with the screw job of one guy. Then they're trying to bring in another guy. Then they end up getting nobody. So you end up having almost Jolly going unopposed. You can't have that. And, Libertarian in that race, all that whole splitting vote argument, all that other stuff goes out the window, considering that Jolly has already been up there and basically pissed off the base of people that were supporting him. You know what I mean? It's the time, it's a very ripe thing right now. It's riper than it was for the special election for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting opportunity getting to run in a two-way race. Not something that especially a high-profile two-way race, not something a Libertarian gets to do all that often. So, we're very much looking forward to it. We were very happy with our approval rating. Our approval rating is very high, regardless of what our vote totals were. So we attribute a lot of what happened on election day during the special to cold feet and to, we spent a little less than $1 per vote. Our opponents spent hundreds of dollars per vote. That probably will not be the case this time. A lot of money was spent on that special that has to be spread out across the entire country now, and this will just become another race of many. And we have a really interesting opportunity here, and we're planning on picking right back up where we left off with disenfranchised voters and push people to get out to the polls. And we'll see come November. We got a long time between now and then, but it feels good to be back.
Nice. Well, it's nice to have you back, Lucas. It's nice to have you back. All right, man. Well, hey, good luck driving up there. Hey, did you take 75 or 19?
75.
75. Okay. Well, you came out from Clearwater. Makes sense. Why
that makes sense.
Why we do that one? Though.
From here, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But from there, it does. Totally. All right, Lucas. Well, we'll keep us informed, and we'll definitely be giving an update next week on what happened.
Yep. There should be a formal press release and formal press conference this evening, formally announcing. But I kind of wanted to sneak it out to you guys.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the sneak out.
Exclusive.
The sneak out. I like it. It's called the sneak out. All right, Lucas. All right, good luck driving up there, man. Make sure you keep both hands on the wheel, 10 and 2.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
All right, we'll see you, Lucas.
Thanks.
Wow, that's pretty good news, I got to tell you. Oops. I don't think the Jolly camp is going to be too happy that they're going to have to go up against the guy that David Jolly himself considered to be much smarter than him.
Yeah.
And now there's no Alex Sink to distract you, so oops. Sorry about your luck, big
And that's
guy.
going to be great to have plastered everywhere. Just David Jolly's face going, he's smarter than me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that should just be the content of the political advertising for the Overby campaign. Just a quote of David Jolly. He's smarter than I am.
On any commercial, we just clip that out because it's a video. There's a clip, and you just say, oh, he's smarter than me.
Yep. Exactly. All right, let's get
David
into
Jolly agrees. Vote for Lucas Overby.
Exactly. All right, let's get into the Tallahassee stuff because there's some important stuff that we got going on in Tallahassee. Do you want to start with the update on the craft brewery?
I do.
Okay.
And we've talked about it a few times. This bill has changed dramatically all week long. We started Monday with one very specific bill, and over the course of the week, it was hard to follow almost because it was changing so quickly. And we'll go over the bill. What happened is the craft brewery industry they were being banned from using a 64-ounce growler, which every state, we are one of 3 states total that ban the 64-ounce growler. So this is an industry standard throughout the entire country. All of your equipment is made to hold 64-ounce growlers. This is a 64-ounce growler is a half gallon of your malt beverage, basically. And so in Florida, you were allowed a 32-ounce, or you were allowed a 128-ounce, which, because they allowed the 128-ounce, it really didn't make sense, really, why they wouldn't have the 64-ounce, because you'd let people have a full gallon but not a half gallon. So the craft brewery industry decided they were going to lobby the legislature this year to allow the 64-ounce growler. It's an industry standard. The ban on it made no sense. So they went to the Florida legislature and said, we'd like to be able to use the 64-ounce growler. That bill got put through, and then it got amended. And when it got amended, it was forcing these craft breweries into what's called the three-tier system. And the three-tier system is where the retailer, the manufacturer, and the distributor had to be three separate entities. Nobody could own all three. Nobody could even own two. They all had to be three separate. But what that meant was that because most of their sales happened on premises, they would have to ship their product to a distributor, sell it to the distributor, and then buy it back from the distributor at a higher cost, and to sell to the public. Now, because of a lot of grassroots outrage, and I have to say, the people on that have been getting all the action alerts and that have been so on top of this, they've had to make a lot of amendments. Well, the first amendment that happened this week was they would allow the 64-ounce growler, and it would be any beer distributor that brewed over 2,000 kegs per year would have to go into the three-tier system. Well, 2,000 kegs compared to like one of the major brewers, like Anheuser-Busch, brews 80 million kegs per year. So this is not really comparable. This is like, telling a lemonade stand they have to compete with Minute Maid. Just an absolutely ridiculous, well, at 2,000 kegs, they become a major brewer. No, they don't. They're not even close.
Yeah.
The entire microbrewery industry in all of Florida only accounts for 0.02% of the brew that Anheuser-Busch would do in a year. 0.02%, not even 2%, 0.02%.
Not even 0.5%.
Right. So, with the microbreweries and the grassroots supporters, were outraged at this. They then changed it to, Senator Stargell changed it to 2,000 kegs or 20% of your entire brew. So if you could have, you could sell in your store on tap for on-site consumption. So you could drink beer on-site unlimited. You could take it unlimited in growlers. So if you wanted to leave in a growler, that would be unlimited. But if you wanted sealed, so if you wanted a 6-pack or you wanted cans or something, bottles, then that would have to be, they couldn't sell any more than 20% of their total brew, or they'd have to go through a distributor. And again, if they were to sell more than 20%, that they'd have to buy it back from the distributor at the 30% markup. Her justification, and after this bill kind of emerged, she wrote an op-ed to the Tallahassee Democrat. And her justification for this was that alcoholism would ensue all over the state if we didn't preserve the three-tier system.
Just like Prohibition,
But, and the three-tier system was something created after Prohibition. It's like you can serve alcohol again, but you have to do it in this three-tier system. And listen, that may have made sense to someone in the 1920s. I don't understand the justification for the three-tier system at all. Because their whole, kids will buy beer or everyone will become alcoholics doesn't make any sense. If you buy your beer straight from the brewer, you will become an alcoholic, apparently, according to Senator Stargell. But if you buy your beer from a retailer that bought it from a distributor that bought it from the brewer, apparently you will not become an alcoholic. At that point, you will be saved from your impending alcoholism, according to Senator Stargell.
Yep.
So, and that's been the justification for this bill the whole time. Well, we have to preserve the three-tier system. And now, it did pass in the Senate. It passed 30-10. There was 10 no votes. But it didn't look like it was going to go anywhere in the House. Basically, the leadership in the Florida House has said that they weren't going to hear it. They knew it was in messaging. They just weren't interested in this bill. Jack Latvala, who's a senator, had basically said on the Senate floor that he had a very controversial immigration bill, but he was getting more calls on the craft brewery bill than he was even on his own, the in-state tuition for undocumented immigrants bill. So that's how big this bill became. They were getting so many calls that the House decided they're not hearing it. They're not touching this. Well, over the last couple days, a new player has emerged to negotiate the craft brewery bill.
Hold on. Out from the shadows, because he's been paying politicians to run his business for a while, and you see now that the politicians were actually not winning overwhelmingly. So now we have the money behind the opposition to the craft brewery industry, whether this guy wants to say he is or not. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Thomas Pepin, who owns Pepin Distributing, who is one of the largest distributors in the state of Florida. They distribute Anheuser-Busch in many areas throughout the state of Florida. Has now decided that he's going to step in and try to negotiate a bill that will be heard in the House, and it would have to go back to the Senate if it changes at all, and try to get this done today. So now I did pull, because when I did some of the analysis on this bill, I had pulled the donations of the big beer industry. And while I hadn't named any of the distributors by name in my analysis, I certainly did have it. So I have it today. Pepin Industries, between the PACs and the politicians, are into this bill about 40 grand.
40 gur. 40 gur. Well. So Tom Pepin, who's the CEO of Pepin Distributing, who now is getting involved in this. Now, and what he says is we have worked out all the details to get the bill heard on the floor. Pepin said Thursday afternoon. All the parties have agreed. Now, and this is the part where, I've been trying to get a hold of this guy, and I have not been able to get a hold of this guy, which is the Josh Abington. He's the executive director of the Florida Brewers Guild. He's less optimistic that all sides have had their issues worked out. He's like, we're in talks, and we think we have a framework. Josh said after the story originally published, I don't think it's ready for the floor yet, though. So I don't know what's going on with the Florida Brewers Guild, by the way, but I know I've talked to too many craft brewery people who want nothing to do with this bill. And if you're on the table trying to work out some kind of framework, I'd like to know whose side you're on.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And then Pepin came out and said, it's really not big brewer versus little brewer. There are some big misconceptions out there about Senate Bill SB 1714, Pepin said. I'd like to know what the misconceptions are. All right? What are the misconceptions? You don't put down what they are. See, and this is what these guys do. This is what people like Pepin do, is they'll say, well, there's a whole lot of misconceptions out there, not actually give you any instance of any misconception, and actually don't tell you the fact that they're 40 grand into paying their politicians to pass this bill because they want to make sure that they can control the craft brewery industry. Because Pepin is paying for it. Here's the thing, Pepin. That's not some wild misconception. That's looking at the donations that you've made already.
Yeah, we'll go through some of these. Bill Galvano, this is Senator Galvano, has been paid $3,000 by Pepin Distributing, between Pepin Distributing, Lauren Pepin, and Thomas Pepin. Let me go.
By the way, we're going to call him. I want an interview with him.
Dane Eagle, $2,000.
I wonder how much he used that for the actual booze that got him busted.
Right. Richard Corcoran, $2,000. Our own Wilton Simpson is also a $2,000 mark. Jeff Brandis, $2,000. Aaron Bean is $2,000. Let's see, I had some more. Dana Young was $1,500.
Who did come out adamantly opposed to it.
She did, so I'll give her credit for that. Representative Cummings is $2,000. We have, that's Dane Eagle again. Senator Lee, $2,000. Representative, well, this is a candidate, but that's $1,500. Let's look down here because there's some more.
Who was the candidate, by the way?
It's another Lee. It's Laura Lee.
Okay.
Ray Rodriguez, $2,000. Rusan, $1,000. Let's see, that's Wilton Simpson, which we've already talked about. Dana Young. Well, let's look at the PACs.
Well, why you're saying that, by the way, one thing Pepin did say is, we really do see each other as business partners. Pepin said of the relationship between craft brewers and distributors. I would have the retailers to chime in on this by now. What he's basically saying there is that he does view these people as business partners, and he wants to make sure that the government can control how those people are able to do business and force them to do business with him.
Right, they're business partners because they're forced to be business partners.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong there when he says, well, these are business partners. Yeah, because the government forces them to do business with you.
Yeah, and then one thing he said is, I dislike laws more than the craft brewers do. I can tell you that, he said. Again, I want this guy on the air.
Yeah.
I want him on the air. I want an interview with this guy.
Well, Jobs for Florida received $2,500, and Let's Get to Work received $1,000.
Yep, imagine that.
And there's some other smaller donations, but all in all, it equals about $40,000. So while Mr. Pepin wants to go all over the place and say how he's just trying to, come to some kind of compromise, at the end of the day, he put out a $40,000 investment this campaign season, and he wants to make sure he gets a return on it.
Yep. And at the end of that article where they had it out there, what he said was, these guys have been such great partners, Pepin said. We just want to make sure that they're doing business legally. Hey, they're doing business legally now.
And
they're doing it now. You're making a law to try to make it so they can't do it.
And this is one of the misconceptions that is out there on their side. What Senator Stargell is saying is that they're falling under a tourism exemption, and that they haven't proven their tourism exemption. If you go and even look up Florida Craft Brewery, what you're going to find, just type it into Google, is tours and come visit Florida, and because this whole industry is about tourism. The reason why craft brewers have done so well is because what they've done is all work together. They've all connected together, and they set up tours where you pay an amount and you go to all of the craft brewers around the state. It's a whole vacation package.
Yeah, like if you're really a beer enthusiast, that's a good time.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't do it because, again, I'd like a whiskey tour.
Right. You sign me up for the whiskey tour. I'm just not a beer person. But the whole reason this industry has flourished in Florida is because they've wrapped it around tourism. So Senator Stargell, who did say on the Senate floor that the Senate is like parents to children who don't want rules, and compared the craft brewery industry to children.
Totally did that, by the way.
And I'm not even trying to make a stretch to say, I mean, she outright said, well, they don't want rules, just like my kids don't want rules. But just as like I'm a parent, it's our job in the Senate to be a parent. That's exactly what she said.
Yeah.
You're not my mom.
Exactly. Now, this is, again, Pepin said this at the end, so he goes, we just want to make sure they're doing business legally. Even if the bill doesn't make it this session, Pepin is confident that they can get the deal done first thing next session. We're already at the 2-yard line, he said. We just need to get it over the goal. Over my dead body, you bastard. Over my dead body. Because you know what? You know what we have right now? A whole ton of time that I'm going to have to go and visit the craft brewery people to make sure that they know that it ain't over. It ain't over at all. And that the big gun, namely Pepin, is out there to ensure that these guys are going to be underneath the thumb of the distributors. Well, I got news for you. There's an election in between that one. There is an election that's going to go on. And if you think we're going to let this issue die off so you can go ahead and try to get this thing finished past the 2-yard line when we get into the next session, you are sorely mistaken. Sorely mistaken. The craft industry knows that this is a bad bill. They know it. They also know that you can't do anything to them as long as the rules are currently set up the way that it needs to be set up right now. So you know what? We're going to be making trips to go out there. And you know what? Whether we get you on the air or not is irrelevant. We're going to expose you, buddy. We are exposing you, Pepin, for what you guys are doing. You can count on that, guy. Sorry.
Did you have something to play?
Sorry. I'm sorry about that.
A
man.
commercial.
It's so this guy wants to say there's misinformation going on. Yeah, you're right. There is misinformation going on, and it's coming out by you. And the other part you ain't telling him is you've been paying off politicians for years, but nobody's been watching and paying attention until now, guy. So we'll see what the sunshine looks like when it's on you. All right, you're listening to Liberty Underground. You want to call the program 1-800-525-4032. We'll be back. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
The Libertarian Party of Florida is excited to announce the 2014 State Convention. Join libertarians and friends from across the Sunshine State to hear great speakers including 2016 presidential candidate Darrell W. Perry, the chair of the National LP Jeffrey Neal, plus Donald Belanti, George Phillies, Wes Benedict, Tony Stiles, and more. Be sure to reserve your seat early for the banquet Saturday evening with keynote speaker Judge Jim Gray. Jim Gray, the former judge of the California Superior Court and author of Why Our Drug Laws Are Failed, was Gary Johnson's 2012 presidential running mate. Arrive early to mix and mingle with friends at the Friday Night Social. All special events are open to the public, so even if you're not a registered libertarian, you are welcome to attend. The convention dates are approaching fast. Join us in Tampa Bay, May 16th through the 18th. Go to lpf2014.org to get your tickets today.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. If you'd like to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032, but don't call just yet. You know, we have a lot of guests that call in. Some we like, Well, we all like them all, really, for the most part. I mean, if anybody's good enough to listen to the show, we got to like them a little bit, I guess. Some interviews we don't like as much. I know we're going to be trying to put an interview on with somebody that's going to be a very contentious interview. We won't get it anyway, but especially after the last segment, we're not going to get that. Which is okay, though. To be honest with you, I'm going to bring on craft brewers, and we'll bring on craft brewers and talk to them instead. But on the line with us, though, is Brandon Jones from the Global Dispatch. And what Brandon really does is he kind of gets us a different perspective and also kind of gets us to focus on some of the news that we may not have been focusing on earlier.
Basically, he does all the stuff we should do that we don't.
Yeah.
He's what makes us almost like a real news organization.
Right. He classes the joint up.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
He definitely classes the joint up, that's for sure. Brandon, how are you doing, sir?
We could probably make a whole long list of people that completely disagree with that introduction, but I do appreciate the kind words.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing just fine. I mean, I've had another week where I was, I'm spewing the bile and the filth, so people are calling me names, yet you guys are trying to say that I'm classing the joint up. Why it's a disparaging world that we live in sometimes.
Well, the thing is, if they're saying that you're spewing violent filth, I don't even want to know what they'd say we're spewing.
Yeah, that's a good point, by the way. If they're saying that about you, we might be in jail.
So you guys been talking Benghazi?
We did talk a little bit about it before, but what's your take on what has happened now?
I mean, really, it's just kind of, isn't it just confirmation of what we've been saying on the show? I mean, I've been saying this since it happened, that we had sources early on and a lot of stories that kind of put the puzzle together for us very early on. It had nothing to do with the video ever, and it was all about running guns to folks that really don't like us very much. This administration doesn't really care too much about giving Al-Qaeda weapons. We saw this again in Syria, so the denial that this was the case in Benghazi, the denial that Al-Qaeda didn't have these weapons in Libya is very contradictory when they were basically, John McCain was on board with doing this in Syria. Let's arm these rebels, even though we know they're al-Nusra and Al-Qaeda terrorists. And then, of course, to complement this week, it's even more entertaining when you have, Jay Carney, who stands up and says, yeah, the Benghazi emails, the Benghazi memos really have nothing to do with Benghazi. Just a fantastic layer of lie. I don't know how they can really kind of get away with it, but the press doesn't care. But no one asked. John Carl's the only one who was asking questions about this and how he can say these things, and no one else stood up to help John Carl ask those questions.
Yeah, it is weird. It's nice to see that at least there was somebody stepping up to say something to him. But to listen to Baghdad Bob, kind of spin this whole thing of like, well, no, that email wasn't about that, and how dare you say that? And
it was just about a lot of other things.
Yeah, it was about everything else but that. It was about aliens and coming to Earth, and it's sickening to see that this is what we have going on in Washington, D.C., and it's sickening that we have an administration. Not that the last one was any better, because they weren't, but when it comes to things like this, it almost makes the last administration look better.
Well, and at the end of the day, even if Jay Carney is being truthful, which everybody knows that he's not, when he's saying that this was not about Benghazi, 4 people died in an attack on Benghazi. So if you were talking about anything else at that time, you are just completely incompetent in your job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point, by the way. If you weren't talking about Benghazi, then you were wrong anyway.
Right. Either way, you are either corrupt to the core or completely incompetent, and either way, you shouldn't be running our country.
And you might be a little bit of both.
Probably.
Might be a little bit of both. What else is going on out there, Brandon?
Well, and I think that's just to wrap up Benghazi, one last thing, and that's kind of what we've been saying all along, right? So if it's not what you say, or you didn't know these things, then who are the incompetent individuals that need to be fired or put in jail for allowing these things to happen? And that's the part of the press that doesn't seem to exist with this guy as president, that at least there was some of that when President Bush was in office. So there was a lot of that pushback, at least from the media. And with this, we like have a total lose-lose, because at least we don't have that back and forth. So I guess we could throw out a little bit of the fallout of Sterling, which I think is actually very interesting. How did we know that Jason Whitlock was going to be, a sound voice in the middle of all of this, right, from ESPN?
Oh, yeah. What did he say?
Hey, man, the mob rule is dangerous. That kind of sums it up, right? I mean, no one is protecting or siding with the comments that Donald Sterling made. Nobody. No one's out there going, yeah, man, power to you. You know, nobody. But there's a few voices that are like, hey, listen, kind of how we're responding to this is a little bit extreme, you know, a private conversation that you didn't, and again, just for folks that don't know, in California, it is 100% illegal to tape record the conversation. So just so we're clear, it's not like, you know, oh, you're splitting hairs and you're just, no, it's 100% illegal in California to do this. So we're acting on 100% illegal tape recording to make these decisions, to find the man, to strip away a franchise, to do these things. So much for the freedom of being able to act like an idiot in America, which I thought was kind of part of the Constitution.
Well, you know, but I don't think the government hasn't stepped in on any of this stuff, though, right?
But what he's saying is that the original recording was gotten illegally, and nobody has come after her to put, you know, it was a crime.
Well, no, that's true. Yeah, no, she should look, don't get me wrong. All the stuff that's happening to him, because it wasn't being done by government and because, you know, the tape was leaked out there, the ramifications of that really are the ramifications of that.
And it's still a gray area if it can be in the media when it has been gotten by way of felony.
Well, no, that's true too. But they should be going after the woman for doing it, though. I mean, they really should be throwing her in jail for violating the law too, though. But what happened with Sterling, though, and again, we weren't going to talk too much about it. But the one thing is that we're not racist. It goes to show that as a society, we're totally not. This guy does some stuff that he does, and you know, when they find out about it, I mean, people are just outraged, and they want to strip him of his ownership of the NBA of his NBA team, like the NBA wants to do that. And the way that league is set up, the owners of those teams is that they are kind of all, you know, responsible to each other, and they can vote you out. Mm-hmm. So it's a weird deal overall, and the mob mentality is definitely dangerous. But at the same time, as long as what's the word for it? You know, the government didn't get involved. That's the one thing I was kind of happy about.
Well, I couldn't agree more about that part of it. Obviously, I'm not asking for the government to be involved or have any say with that. But I think where Jason Whitlock and I agree is it's a very slippery slope with the mob mentality of, you know, this is the, you know, had the NBA not done something, what would have been the response? And when the president is speaking out on these things, it becomes a very kind of want to raise your eyebrow. And they have a track record of doing this. We've seen it out of the DOJ. So I think when you start to go a little bit further, it's like a very slippery slope when you have a business that's responding in this way instead of allowing for the free market process. So again, all the advertisers were jumping ship. You had, you know, folks that are saying, I'm not going to any more of the playoff games, those kinds of things. The guy would have just kind of gone away in the shadows. And by the way, where were you, NBA, for the 30-something years that this guy was behaving this way? I mean, the NAACP guy just resigned because they've given him not one Lifetime Achievement Award. He was due to get his second Lifetime Achievement Award in a couple of days. The NAACP. So there's really just a whole bunch of layers of odd things that are surrounding the story.
Yeah, no, and the hypocrisy of what it comes down to is that the NAACP was willing to look past the guy being racist because he was writing checks.
Yep, 45,000.
So your principles, even for something like that's a core principle of the NAACP, was up for sale.
Right.
I mean, it was up for sale. I mean, you can't even be honest about that because a guy floats a couple Benjamins your way. I mean, really. But at any rate, we've already given that story more time than we've needed to give it. One of the stories that's on here, by the way, that was on the Global Dispatch was morality in the media calls for a ban on sales of pornography on military bases. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in the service before, but I have. And I got to tell you that you're going to call for a ban on sales of pornography in a place that is so predominantly male, it's not even funny. They're going to get pornography whether you like it or not. And the fact that they're going to try to ban the sale of it really is kind of funny. Brandon, do you know anything about this story?
Well, I don't know a lot of the details of the story, but I could tell you that I'm not surprised at all, because if we're going to go in the direction of lawsuits and the way that they've handled the military as far as discrimination, the inclusion of women, the inclusion of homosexuality, now you're looking at a completely different dynamic to the military that wasn't in play even 10 or 20 years ago, because, you looking at pornography is not acceptable at my job. And whether we like the military from this angle or not, we're now treating it more like a traditional workplace where pornography is not acceptable. And that is why this story is really not surprising at all from that angle.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that there was a group founded in 1962 called Morality in Media Incorporated. Not really a fan. Not really a fan, by the way. Not at all. And again, it's you know what? There is a reason that there is nothing but strip clubs on the outsides of military bases. And it is not because they're being forced there. It's because there is a need there. Like,
there's a market.
There's a market for this. And for them to try to link like the sexual assaults in the service based off of this is it's stupid. It really is dumb. But it sickens me.
So they're sending the women out to the front lines with the men and taking the porn away from the men.
Yeah, and you think sexual assaults are going to go down?
Yeah, this has nothing but good things written all over it.
Yeah, it really is. It's just and a lot of these. Look, no, there are actually sexual assaults that happen in there. I mean, I'm sure it happens. I mean, it's just one of those
it definitely happens. It's not even that I'm sure it happens. It definitely happens.
But there also is a lot of voluntary fornication going on.
Activities.
Right.
Yeah.
There's definitely some voluntary things that may not always be classified as voluntary because there is a big ban on those things going on voluntarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do it voluntarily.
Yeah, you're not supposed to. So, what else is going on out there, Brandon?
Well, we had some journalists and bloggers arrested in Ethiopia because they dissent with the government talking points. So that's been an interesting topic that is not going to make the American press. And similarly, the Nigerian terrorist group, Boko Haram, which continues to run rampant through Nigeria now, is kidnapping little girls and marrying them off for $12. So for $12, the terrorists are now buying themselves little teenage girls that they've kidnapped from the neighboring villages and parts of the south. So Nigeria continues to reek of just a country on fire that most of America couldn't even pick out on a map.
Wow, unbelievable. By the way, now we're last thing I wanted to bring up with you is a movie thing. I had a chance this past Friday.
Only one movie thing? I figured there'd be more than one movie.
No, I'm gonna focus on one this week. You'll know why here in a second. I watched Captain America.
We all went.
We all watched Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And I got to tell you, people were always like, "Well, it's a very libertarian movie," and it was good the way that they did it. I got to tell you, that totally lived up to the hype. That was it was so libertarian, it was almost WikiLeaks, man. It was WikiLeaks. Like, he had to, I mean, hold on, spoiler alert. The fact that they had to tear down S.H.I.E.L.D. and the other one at the same time is actually my justification for why you got to get rid of the GOP, by the way. But that's a whole different story for a different day. But you have watched this movie. Wow, that was a great movie.
Yeah, I actually saw it twice, and when I saw it the second time with my son who hadn't seen it, he said, "Dad, why did you not tell me this movie was so great?" I said, "Because I didn't want to get your hopes too excited. I would rather raise you up to this point rather than have you be disappointed." But the layers of political drama and intrigue, the ties to NSA monitoring, big government, conspiratorial, insider, political maneuvering, those kinds of things was just groundbreaking. And if you're a fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you've been watching that as well. The last 3 episodes are almost kind of like a pseudo sequel to the film, because it's all happening simultaneous to this event of Captain America, and it's added even another layer of back drama and intrigue and who's betraying who and who's really Hydra and who's not. It was absolutely by far right now. I mean, I think Avengers is the best popcorn movie ever made, but Captain America is by far the best of the Marvel movies that have been made to date.
Oh, that by far, so far. One trivia question I have for you as it relates towards this movie. What was the movie reference on the gravestone of Fury?
That's the Pulp Fiction Ezekiel quote, the fictitious biblical scripture that Samuel L. Jackson's character is known to be quoting before he shoots someone.
I couldn't believe it when I saw that. By the way, I thought that was actually a pretty cool little nuance to the movie.
Easter egg.
That they totally gave a Pulp Fiction reference in the movie.
They did that in Star Wars with him also.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The base of Mace Windu's lightsaber has the letters BMF on it, which stands for the term on his wallet.
The letters on his wallet. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow, Greg, look at you, brother. Good job. But yeah, I thought that movie was awesome.
Speaking of Star Wars, Greg, thank you for the segue.
My pleasure.
Did you see that the Star Wars cast has been officially announced?
Yes.
Yeah, and most of the ones from 1, 2, or from 4, 5, and 6 are coming back.
Correct. The main 6 characters.
Yeah, Luke, Han, Leia, they're all back.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be great.
Chewbacca and the 2 robots, right?
Yeah, they're all going to be back. I don't know what they're going to do with this movie, though. I don't know what it's going to be about.
The good thing about Chewbacca and the robots is you don't have to get the same actors for those.
Well,
No.
Yeah, you don't need the same ones for that.
For Chewbacca,
Yeah, but it's kind of a cool nostalgic thing that they did.
It is. Yeah, it is absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, what are these movies going to be about, Brandon? Do you know anything about that?
Star Wars.
No, and actually, we thought we did, and there was a lot of stuff that kind of seemed like it was piecing together, and then J.J. Abrams kind of went off with the screenwriter, Lawrence Kasdan, and kind of basically the rumors are they abandoned everything that had been done at that point. So everything we thought we knew that was going to pick up as far as, this would be about Han and Leia's twins, they're running a Jedi Academy, a new Jedi group was going to be kind of raised up, are now kind of in question. Because right now we really don't know much of anything, and everything else has been kind of topsy-turvy until at that point. So
there's been a lot of debate over the years as to where they would go if they did try and do a final trilogy, picking up after Return of the Jedi. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they go. I would love to see them go further into the Empire, because what a lot of people assume is that, the Emperor is dead, the Empire is gone. No, there's still a lot of power structure there. All of the governors that they talked about in the first movie are all still there. The power vacuum gets filled, and the Empire is still strong and still going on. So I would like to see them get deeper into that.
It is going to be interesting to see.
Have you read some of the other books?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have too.
I haven't read the book.
I always thought that the Jedi Academy books should be what they do the final trilogy about.
Yeah,
but
I actually do too. So I will be disappointed if they don't do that. Because reading all the books that come after, I do think that should at least be a main part of the next phases of the movies.
I forget the name of Luke's apprentice that turned to the dark side. I just want to see that lightsaber on film, though. The description of that lightsaber in the book was incredible, and I want to see them put it on film.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see if they do it. Brandon, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
Well, we could tread lightly through weird news, but it is a bestiality story. The headline's weird news. That's all I'll say on that. But by the way, if you haven't seen the Spider-Man, he appeared. Andrew Garfield appeared on Jimmy Fallon last night and sang a song. And if you want a little nostalgic feel and something really fun, go ahead and flip that on. It's a great video. Again, that's in the movie section there on the Global Dispatch.
All right, great. Well, his name is Brandon. The website is theglobaldispatch.com. Brandon, thank you so much, sir.
You guys take care and talk hard.
Talk hard. Awesome, by the way. Very, very awesome. I was totally waiting. I was waiting so much to be able to talk about
that movie.
The Captain America movie. What a great movie that was, by the way.
No, it was. Now I missed the end, so I actually do have to see it again because I have to watch the end.
They just WikiLeaks the whole thing, man.
But it was a really, really good movie. I hated having to leave, but I was so into the movie.
Yeah, it was unbelievable how good that movie was.
I really want to see it, and it seems like it's kind of an amalgamation of different stories they did in the comics, but like they definitely pulled from the Civil War story that was going on in the Marvel comics, which ultimately got Captain America assassinated at the end of it.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to do that. Well, we'll see with all the rest of the movies, because they're going to, these movies are some of the. I said this to Daniel's kid, Daniel's son Ethan, and I was like, "Man, you have it so much better than we had it, man.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have no idea how good you have it right now when it comes to superhero movies. Like we had Christopher Reeves, man. We had Christopher Reeves going around in wires and horrible graphics and bad storylines.
I used to have to hope that there would be a clip of Spider-Man on the Electric Company. That was like the only time we got to see good comic books on TV.
They have no idea how good they have it when it comes to superheroes. Because to put the movies like this together, where you're making separate movies and then having movies where they connect, and then there's movies after that movie that are all connecting. Like it's a crossword
and a TV series behind all of them, tying everything together.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see, like, because in this movie they're going into kind of the backstory of things that happen before, and you see like they're making references to Tony Stark's dad from Iron Man, and
Right.
I mean it is kind of neat to see them all kind of work together. And I do have to say that even if you haven't seen the others, you still understand the movie.
Right.
Yeah, and that's hard to do, by the way.
Yeah, that's what's awesome about them is all the movies are linked together, but all of them stand alone as well. You don't
Right.
have to see the others for this movie to make sense.
But if you do see them all, what an awesome experience you have because of all the references to all the movies inside of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Moving along. Moving on.
Oh, we're coming up on our final break, so we might as well kill the last couple minutes talking about
Yeah, I
movies.
guess. I want to let's kill the last couple minutes with this though. Look, if you like the Liberty Underground show, if you think that what we provide is some kind of a value to your day or to your hour or to however long you listen to the show, go to 1787network.com. On the right hand side, there is a button that is marked donate. Again, we do have sponsors that are on the show, but we definitely need more funding in order to be able to do expansive stuff. And so go on there, make a donation if you'd like to. Also, make sure you go to our Facebook page, like us on Facebook. We have the Liberty Underground show on Facebook, and we also have the 1787 Network on Facebook. So go there, like those areas, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. And with the YouTube channel, you'll get all 3 hours. I know that we're only on Tan Talk 1340 for an hour a week, but you do get us for all 3 hours. You can go to YouTube and put in the Liberty Underground show, and you'll find it. And take a look out there. Make sure that you like what we're doing. But if you do, make a donation. Because again, corporate sponsors, we're not going to be getting Pep and Distributing anytime soon. I can tell you that right now.
You mean he's not giving us $40,000?
No, he ain't giving us $40,000. That's for sure. Well, because we don't want to do what he wants to do, which is sad that this guy would want to use his power and the force of government in order to hold these craft brewers down. But that's what the guy wants to do. I love when they do the common misconception thing. There's so many misconceptions out there, even though I'm not going to talk about any of them or try to identify it. I'm just going to tell you that and then not tell you that I've been paying off the politicians for $40,000.
That's just this election cycle, too. That's not like total he's given $40,000.
Yeah,
That's just the 2014 election
Yeah,
cycle.
just this election cycle. And then it comes in at the end. Well, we'll get this done next session. Yeah, you wait till the craft brewers figure out what you're doing, guy. You wait till they figure out, and guess what? We're going to be there to tell them. And we're going to write them an analysis, too.
You know what people like to do when they drink beer? Fight.
Yeah. So we're going to go into the craft brewery places. We're going to let them know what's going on.
You got a real good chance of getting your ass kicked now.
Yeah. Well, again, the website, guys, 1787network.com is the website. Please make sure you do go there and visit, though. We always try to put articles up on that website. Anything else you want to bring up, Danielle?
No.
I'm running out of stuff to say right now.
No, and just in the next hour we're gonna have to do the Tallahassee update in the next hour because there was a lot of bills that we didn't go into, and some of our favorite politicians are back in the news. So we're going to be talking about them in the next hour. Then that's always fun when we get to bring up some of them.
And we'll make our weekly call to public policy polling.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, that is kind of awesome, actually. I do love that one so much, by the way. It's always a fun time to give them a call. Not that they'll ever answer the phone. Maybe this week they'll answer the phone, though.
We'll see.
We'll see, though.
We'll see.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week, man. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Sunrise
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
The Libertarian Party of Florida is excited to announce the 2014 State Convention. Join libertarians and friends from across the Sunshine State to hear great speakers including 2016 presidential candidate Darrell W. Perry, the chair of the National LP Jeffrey Neal, plus Donald Belanti, George Phillies, Wes Benedict, Tony Stiles, and more. Be sure to reserve your seat early for the banquet Saturday evening with keynote speaker Judge Jim Gray. Jim Gray, the former judge of the California Superior Court and author of Why Our Drug Laws Are Failed, was Gary Johnson's 2012 presidential running mate. Arrive early to mix and mingle with friends at the Friday Night Social. All special events are open to the public, so even if you're not a registered libertarian, you are welcome to attend. The convention dates are approaching fast. Join us in Tampa Bay, May 16th through the 18th. Go to lpf2014.org to get your tickets today.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
And we're back. Liberty Underground, if you'd like to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom, 1-800-525-4032. During the break, we were talking about the awesomeness of wrestling, which is always a fun time. But instead of talking about that fake show, let's talk about the fake show going on in Tallahassee.
Do we want to call Dean before we get into that?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We want to make the Dean call before that?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go ahead and do that.
Well, Wiley update, by the way. Wiley update. Adrian Wiley has been invited to the big debate.
Yeah, this will be the big debate on October 15th at Broward College. It'll be basically broadcast all over the state on all your local stations. It'll be rebroadcast on C-SPAN. They're basically saying this is going to be the debate to watch in the 2014 election cycle in Florida.
Yeah, and we got Wiley in the debate. Now there was a hate call that came out. We're calling Dean.
Speaking of hate,
man,
calls.
I wonder if he's gonna pick up the phone. Come on, Dean, pick up the phone. Do it.
Pick up.
Do it.
Starsky and Hutch.
Oh, very good. Ben Stiller. Do it. don't think he's going to pick up the phone.
No.
Dean can't come to the phone right now. Please leave a message.
Dean, Alex Snicker, Liberty Underground Show. You're live on the air. Well, you're not, but your answering machine is.
We are.
We're live on the air, though.
We're here every Friday.
Yeah, and we're calling you also every Friday around this time. How you doing? You doing all right, buddy?
What you doing?
What you doing?
You hiding under your desk?
Are you? Is that where you're at, buddy?
Are you at the cafeteria?
Have you gotten to the point where you've brought in some reading material under your desk as well? So you like have a little Reader's Digest and stuff, so you can and put a little light down there. I'm hoping that you've at least done those things to make that a more enjoyable experience for you.
More comfortable.
Yeah, because we want you to be comfortable. Well, we wanted to give you an update. Adrian is going to be in the debates. Other polling organizations have actually started to include his name, so it would probably be a good idea at this point for you to go ahead and do that too. Now, I know you said you needed the call in order to make sure that this happened, so consider this the phone call. Put Adrian Wiley, the Libertarian candidate for governor, in your poll for the governor of Florida, along with the Republican Rick Scott and the Republican Charlie Crist.
Former Republican.
Former Republican, still Republican.
Kind of not sure
Democrat.
now.
Okay.
Can we call him Charlie of Many Colors?
The Charlie
Chameleon.
Charlie Chameleon.
There we go.
We'll give him a Culture Club reference. All right. Well, hey, at any rate, guy, look, like we said before, put him in the dang thing. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Bye.
Bye. Toodles.
Toodles. All right. There's our weekly call into public policy polling. If you would like to make a call into public policy polling, what is the phone number, Greg?
That phone number, direct line to Dean Debnam at Public Policy Polling, is 919-880-4888. That's 919-880-4888.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
One of our listeners said maybe he has a hidden shelf with a blanket.
He might. That's a very good point, by the way. I appreciate that, Stephen.
So, on to what is going on in Tallahassee, because lots and lots and lots of things have been going on. We've been going back and forth on a lot of bills, but some of the ones that you haven't seen a whole lot about, but that did pass. And these were, there's a lot of bills sometimes when you're in our position, you kind of have to look at all the bills and say, what can we fight and win? What do we have no chance on winning in? So we're just kind of going to be, wasting people's time with and, things like that. Well, this is one of those ones where I knew it was going to pass. We all knew it was going to pass. So nobody, even the media kind of didn't put it out at all because everybody knew it was going to go. But this was the sales tax for online shopping.
Yes.
So starting Thursday, because this has been signed into law, when you buy anything online, and I think what happens is on Thursday, Amazon is already starting it, and then the rest of the internet sales will have to go in a few months.
The way the law is already written, Amazon is now has to charge sales tax in Florida.
So, now when you shop in places like Amazon, when you do all these online shopping, you are going to have to pay sales tax. Now, the sales tax is on you, not the company, like it is when you're in person. When you're in person, you pay the sales tax to the person. Basically they show you a price. They, with the sales tax and everything, you pay them, and then they submit the sales tax. Now, what happens is it's a little different. It's a little different as in places like Amazon and things like that, because it's only done in Florida. There's a little different way of reporting on it, which basically puts everything on the consumer instead of the company like it used to be. You're not going to see much of a difference as you pay, but reporting-wise, it's actually basically called, like consumer has to pay instead of the retailer. So it's a little different. And basically in Florida, they've decided that when you buy online, you should have to pay the same sales tax as everybody else, as if you buy in person. On top of the shipping.
One more advantage of buying online gone.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way that the law was written before, it was only if the product was in the state of Florida that if you bought it online, did you have to pay Florida sales tax, which is why when Amazon opened their distribution center, was it yesterday, day before yesterday, now anything that you order from Amazon in the state, if you're in Florida and you order from Amazon.com, you now have to pay sales tax on it because it's coming from their distribution center in Florida. Before they opened that, you paid no sales tax because it was coming from out of state.
But with the way the new sales tax laws are written and being passed this year, it's going to be all purchases coming up within the next few months or anything that you buy is going to be subject to sales tax. So even if you're buying it from a state that doesn't charge sales tax, which is why you could always buy things online without paying, because when you're buying it from that state, they have different sales tax laws than you do.
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't have to pay it because you know there was no way to calculate what sales tax from what state, so it was just exempt. But in Florida, you will have to pay 6% on all purchases. Coming up here pretty soon, and Amazon already you have to do it.
Yeah, I had to deal with that a little bit myself, selling products online.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone that purchased in the state of Florida, I had to charge sales tax, and I had to pay that to the state of Florida, and kind of found that out the hard way after not charging a few people sales tax in the state of Florida.
And you're up for the bill.
Yeah.
The state of Florida will still take it from you. They
Exactly.
could care less if you charged it.
Oh yeah, they will.
Yeah.
So that's one of the bills that went through. The tuition aid for undocumented citizens, for undocumented students, that did advance. It did get heard in the Senate. It still has some things to go through. There was a large debate and things like that, but there were some changes made, so it's got to go back to the House. But that looks like it probably will pass now. So it did pass in the Senate. The Senate had made some changes to the House bill that they were hearing. Because of those changes, it has to go back to the House for final approval. But this was Speaker Weatherford's pet project for the year, so I see no problem with it being passed in the House. So you will probably see this head over to the governor today for his signature. This is pretty much a done deal.
And he's going to sign that.
Oh yeah, he's definitely. It's an election year. He wants to look for, and he could have done this for 4 years and he didn't.
Yeah, the weird thing about this is, I did not know this. This is something I've just learned. The reason that there's this thing called in-state tuition is not because, like, if you go to Disney, like they give you Florida pricing or anything like that.
Right.
It's that the government gives the university money to cover the difference.
Right.
So let's say you're charging somebody $100 for something, right? That your normal thing would be $100, but in-state tuition means it's only going to be $50. Well, the university's still getting $100. They're just getting that $50 from
The government.
The
state government.
So, I don't support this bill because I don't support using taxpayer money to give to anybody. You know what I mean? And you're giving it to illegal people aren't even here legally, which again, one of the arguments that people have about why we need to control immigration is the fact that we have a welfare state that gives tons of money away. This is one of those reasons that they don't want to do this, is because you are giving money away to people that aren't here legally.
Their solution for giving money away to people who aren't supposed to be here is spend more money by building a wall rather than getting rid of the programs that are giving away money.
And those that didn't make it over here, though, those that didn't make it over here, we're going to give you some money, though, so that'll entice more people to come over here.
Now, in this bill, it is written that you had to come over here undocumented as a small child, which basically meant that you had no other choice but to be here, which actually makes you exempt from the law. You can't be prosecuted and things like that for it, because you had no choice. You were a minor that had absolutely no choice in whether you came here or not. So you are exempt from prosecution of immigration laws at that point, and because of that, they're using that as justification for the in-state tuition bill. And which is also the justification for why you are allowed to go to public schools K through 12. Like if you come here as a small child, you can go through K through 12 schools, and a bill to remove you from those schools isn't there and would never pass anyways. But that's their reasoning is, nobody's denying paying for their education up until 12th grade. We should just keep paying if we're paying for everybody else. And they are exempt from the laws from prosecution. They're technically not criminals. They're not old enough to have actually broken any laws by coming over here at that age.
Yeah,
their parents did, and their parents get extra charges for it. Yeah. But they're exempt from the law.
Yeah, it's one of those, just because the system's so messed up as it is right now. This is only adding to the messed upness about it.
Well,
it's just a tangled web, and
right. I'm against the bill, not for any reason except I'm against in-state tuition. I'm against subsidizing higher education. because I think once you get the government out of it, then you're going to have a better market, more, competitive market, and you'll actually see the cost of tuition go down because you have to be competitive. You have to compete for business instead of saying, well, I'm guaranteed this business because the state's going to pay half.
Yep. Which means that they can artificially raise the pricing.
Right.
If they didn't have this, then the pricing would be lower.
Right. So, that's one of those things where I believe this, this is one of those programs that raises tuition costs anyways. I'm not for in-state tuition regardless of who you are. So that was, that's one of the bills that definitely it's going to pass.
Yep, it's going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing too. Republicans, your base does not like this bill. They don't. They don't like this bill at all. Nope. You're taking another hit at your base. Now, libertarians, when it comes to immigration, I don't know, there is some disagreement between those that are Republicans on immigration and libertarians on immigration, but there is one area in which we do have an agreement, and that's that we don't want the government paying for it. If you've taken away all the other reasons to stay in the Republican Party, honestly, we're not looking too shabby at this point. Our thing is, we don't want the government paying for it at all. We don't want you paying for it. So stay evil. I mean, you're only helping us out. And I know that on this issue you're thinking you're not, but I will tell you that our argument gets a lot more applause than you guys do, because your placating is bad.
I have to say, one of the best moments bless you, on the campaign trail with Adrian is as this guy guy from the Republican Party, an official was, you just don't you want to start drug testing people on the government dole? And Adrian looked at him and goes, no, I want to get rid of the government dole.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good line right there.
And that was one of the best lines that he had on the campaign trail.
Crowd loses it.
Yeah, they lost their minds all cheering. Because that's the difference between the Republican Party and what we're advocating for. They're like, well, let's just make it harder for people to get on the dole, or let's just do this to get... No, let's get rid of it. The problem is you're trying to put a Band-Aid on a gusher.
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly what you're
and
trying
then
to
you
do.
want to pat on the back like you're a hero for putting on the Band-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And most of the time, you caused the gusher.
Yeah. Yeah, the government, break your legs, hand you the crutch, want you to thank him for handing you the crutch.
And it's a broken crutch.
Crutch.
Too short.
Yeah, the crutch doesn't even work, by the way. The crutch doesn't even work.
So, it's a bad bill, and it's a bad bill because we should be talking about ending in-state tuition. Period. That's it.
Yeah. Let these guys lower the cost.
Now, one of the bills that I've been really watching, and I haven't put a lot out about it because obviously we have an amendment going on to the Constitution coming up in November. So I really kind of seen this as a kind of a non-issue, even though it was an issue. And that's the Charlotte's Web strain of medical cannabis. Mm-hmm. Now, this has a very, very low THC, very, very low CBD rating. You can basically get hemp food products in Whole Foods that would have more THC. Currently. Legally.
Yeah, you can go buy it today.
Right. Legally, that would have more THC than this strain of cannabis. But it's been a big deal. It's been, widely talked about, this Charlotte's Web strain, which really, it's really but it really does, we see the most help in patients who have a severe form of epilepsy. And most of the time, this actually is found in children more than adults, because normally they don't survive to adulthood. And so you see this as a childhood epilepsy disease. It's a very severe form of epilepsy, and this Charlotte's Web strain of medical cannabis has been known to severely reduce the amount of epileptic seizures that they have. So, some of these children that are having 300 to 400 seizures a month with the Charlotte's Web strain of medical cannabis have been known to only have, maybe 3 or 4, sometimes 2, sometimes none.
Yeah.
So it's been highly effective in this very severe form of epilepsy. It also has shown, some relief of some symptoms in cancer when you're taking chemotherapy and things like that. But the strain itself isn't really meant for cancer patients. I mean, it's not it's not proven as helpful for cancer patients, although cancer patients will see some relief with this strain of cannabis. This was introduced. This was a House bill introduced by Matt Gaetz, who basically and he had when he first talked about this, had a great presentation and showed them testing hemp products from Whole Foods, and the what would be in Charlotte's Web, and the guy was like, yeah, you have more THC here in this hemp seed mustard than you have in what you're talking about. Now it was
that was funny when they brought up all the
when
products.
they brought up all the products.
Yeah, that was actually kind of funny.
So it was great. Matt Gaetz has been and Katie Edwards has been a long champion of this for this whole session. Now Katie Edwards, Representative Edwards, has introduced the Kathy Jordan Medical Cannabis Act for the last 2 years. She's been a great champion of medical cannabis in the state. So she signed on to this bill with Matt Gaetz, and they've been working on this in the House. On the Senate side, you had Brandis, Bean. I know I'm forgetting someone, but there's someone else who.
Latvala?
No.
He just wanted to throw out that name so you could hate him.
Brandis Bean and one other senator sponsored the companion bill in the Senate. Now it did pass the Senate. And it passed pretty well in the Senate. It was a big impassioned debate, but it did pass.
No, this is great.
It went over to the House. This passed just yesterday. I was watching it yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And it was a very passionate debate. I have to say, I wish that some of our representatives were that passionate about passing this strain of medical cannabis as they were other things, because they really made a good argument for freedom and liberty and things like that. Obviously, when they get to other issues, they forget all of their words.
Well, yeah.
But I was really happy to see the debate on this issue, and a lot of the representatives that just understood the need for medical cannabis and how this would help patients, and how it really is no business of the Florida legislature to get in between a patient and their doctor on what is going to be the proper care for their ailments.
Well, and I did find it funny because we did listen to some of the Senate, it was the House floor.
We were listening to the House, and I've listened to both, but yesterday we were both listening to the House.
And to hear some of the legislators' arguments, because they show themselves to be hypocrites they're like, well, is this going to violate a federal law? And it's like, weren't you passing something to try to get rid of Obamacare, guys?
Right. And Matt Gaetz was great on the debate.
He did very well.
I have to say, he was on it, and he was very good in the debate. They asked him if it was going to break a federal law, and he says, yeah, it's going to break a federal law that nobody's enforcing.
Yeah.
Because 20 other states already have medical cannabis. In fact, not only do they have medical cannabis, but they have all strains of medical cannabis, not just one.
Yeah, and some of them even have it legal.
Right. So he's like, yeah, is it against a federal law? Yes, a federal law that nobody's enforcing.
Yep, exactly.
So, I mean, he made great arguments yesterday.
Yeah.
I was, really happy to listen to it. So it did end up passing the House 11-7. There was one actual amendment by Representative Harrell, and she basically wanted to amend the bill so that nobody would get Charlotte's Web, and that it would go into clinical research for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And
like she was trying to do the scientific version of tabling.
It. And honestly, I have to say, nobody voted with her.
Nobody voted with her.
Nobody voted with her on that amendment. So, and then when it got to the actual bill, 7 people did vote against it, but 111 passed it. And I have to say, when this 111 and everyone had been so passionate about the bill, there had been such a passionate, we need to help these children, that everybody stopped on the House floor and were congratulating each other, and they kind of took a break and were very happy about passing this. Yeah. Now, because there were some wording changes done in the House, because they went from having 4 dispensaries to 5, and a couple other very small changes where they would have to have a medical professional on staff to help them out. This will have to go back to the Senate for approval, but it does look like it will be passed in the Senate. And Governor Rick Scott did say yesterday that he will back the Charlotte's Web strain of medical cannabis, and he will sign it into law when it hits his desk.
Yeah, well, and the reason he's doing that is because that amendment's on the ballot.
Right. Now, I haven't put out a lot on this because I did really kind of think that this is one of those things where at the end, no matter what they do with this today or this session, we're going to have a ballot initiative, and all polling shows it's going to pass.
Yeah, it's got it in the 60% mark. I mean, I don't think you've seen the opposition start going full bore just yet. So you're going to see the opposition starting to go full bore. I don't know how that's going to affect it at the end of the day, because are they going to be able to knock off enough to get it below 60?
I don't know. I don't think they are. I think that you're going to see this pass. Now, and what I do need to, what I want to tell everyone is, even with this passing, that doesn't mean medical cannabis all of a sudden is good tomorrow. You know, like it's not like all of a sudden in December everybody's growing, weed.
Yeah. You can't start toking up like November, like the Wednesday after the election.
All this, what the amendment would do would open it up and make it, where it would have to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But the legislature would still have to go in next session and actually set the parameters on what would be considered a dispensary, what regulations you're going to have to meet, to get a license to do this. There's a lot of things that are still going to have to be worked out after November.
Yep. And if you're a person that is pro-legalization and pro-medical marijuana for that matter, the people that are going to be in charge of doing that is very important for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that you make sure that if you have a libertarian on the ballot, especially for a statewide office or for state house or for state senate, governor comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
In the Pinellas County area, state senate comes to mind. Up in the Panhandle, there's some other offices that come to mind. Also around the state, there's other libertarians running for state house. It's important that these people get elected because you want them up there engaged in that conversation, because they're the only ones that are going to think about your rights first.
Yeah, and I do have to say, Senator Bullard over in the Senate, when this was being debated in the Senate, did try to put an amendment that would decriminalize all marijuana.
Yeah.
And
that didn't go anywhere.
It didn't go anywhere, but I have to give him credit because he did make a very passionate speech, trying to push that. So there are some friendly people up there for cannabis and medical cannabis especially. It's just not enough. So we need better people up there if we want to see regulations that make sense for the industry and to help as many patients as possible. We need to make sure that we're electing people this coming election cycle. The entire House is up for election, all of them, and half the Senate. So we need to make sure that we're electing people that are going to implement sensible regulations on medical cannabis.
Not that there is such a thing as sensible regulations, but
No.
as sensible as possible.
But as sensible where as many patients as possible get medical cannabis. And when I say sensible, that's what I mean. Where the government is out of the equation when it comes to doctors and patients.
Yeah. Except for Greg. Greg's still involved. Greg's definitely involved.
Gotta get my cut.
Gotta get something for the cataract. Get something for the cataracts.
Something for the cataracts.
So
What movie?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna get you high today. Because it's Friday.
It's Friday.
You ain't got no job. You ain't got nothing to do.
All right, good time.
So that's one of the major things we've kind of gone through a lot of what's already happened, what's already passed, what's failed. Obviously we have the great Pop-Tart bill. So things like that. Now today is the last day. I'm going to be watching as soon as we get off of here all day long on flipping through both sides to see what else they do to us. And a lot of the bills that you see you see in a session where everybody's up for election on the House side. I mean, you don't see a lot of big controversial bills. Obviously, there was a couple this year and we've gone over them. But what you do see is a lot of bills where you're like, why would you mess with that?
Yeah. Yeah, how you gonna be messing with people's beer, man?
It's not even even the more the bills that nobody talks about, which is regulating athletic coaches. Why don't you leave that up to the Little League? At the end of the day, if anything bad happens, they're the ones that are civilly liable, so they're the ones that are going to get sued. I'm sure they're going to make sure that they have rules in place so that they don't get sued. Leave it up to Little League. We don't need you, Florida legislature.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never seen a group of people that are so, what's the word for it? That are so hell-bent on finding a way to put their government little peddly hands in the middle of everything. And that's the you went to craft one of the problems with what's her name again?
Senator Stargell.
One of the problems, I'm not gonna call her senator. One of the problems with Stargell is that she's complaining. Well, these guys won't come to the table. They won't come to the table. No. There's no need to go to the table. Don't pass the law, you dumbass. They don't want to talk to you because they realize that anything that you say will be used against them in the court of your Senate chambers. Anything that they say, and then you'll spin it around and you'll use it like you're able to say, "Well, I've talked to them and we got this thing all squared away," to give other people a false sense that they actually wanted the crap that you're shoveling. That's the problem, and then you get all offended, like, "Well, they won't come and talk to me." I wouldn't want to talk to you either, woman, if you're trying to close me down. And then lie about it. Well, there's a lot of misinformation up there. Yeah, one piece of it is that you ain't trying to close people down. That's one piece of misinformation. And then for you to stand on there and be like, "Well, I'm like their mother and they're like the kids." Who the hell do you think you are? Just really, who do you think you are, you authoritarian psychopath? Really? Like it is offensive to me as a citizen of this state to know that people like you are up there that think that you're big mommy or daddy government, and then you have the gall to say that, "Well, I'm a limited government person." No, you ain't. Quit telling that lie. It irks me that you people just admit you're a damn statist and that you think the government knows better and that you think you know better, because you basically did that on the Senate floor. And if anybody was really paying attention, they'd have saw that. But don't worry about it. We got a copy of that tape too, and we'll make sure that your constituents see that when election time comes. You think you're going to be able to get away with this because you ain't up in 2014? You know, we got memories. Not only that, we're pig-headed. Which means we actually want to hold on to this stuff because we're holding grudges. And we're holding the grudges against you, Stargell. You think you're everybody's mother? You know, why don't you do a little better job of just mothering your own damn kids, and you don't worry about anybody else's kids right now, okay? You just worry about your kids, which is sad enough because you're going to teach them to be statists like you. But you worry about your own kids. You don't worry about anybody else's kids, right? These kids, they don't belong to you. I don't care what Melissa Perry Harris said. They're not your kids, all right? The brew houses ain't your kids, all right? These are adults that are running successful businesses that you're trying to close down. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, listen, I think you're right. And if anyone read her op-ed, her only justification for getting into the craft breweries and making them, for even having a 3-tiered system, is that we'd all be alcoholics if we could buy directly from the brewer.
Like, it doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, at no point, or kids are going to buy beer. Kids will buy beer if you don't buy it from a retailer that bought from a distributor that bought from a brewer.
First off, kids get beer anyway. But the second thing is that this doesn't stop that.
Right. So you don't think that a person who brews beer is smart enough to check a driver's license?
And that rule against selling to minors is still for those breweries now.
Right.
Everybody's under that law now. It's not like there's a special exemption like craft brewers can make, a kid's beer. It doesn't work that way. You know, that's the other thing. When they talk about, well, this is an unregulated industry, that's BS. They just don't have all the extra special regulations that you have in order to prop up your distributors that are paying you off. That's the only difference. They still can't sell to minors. They can't do that now. They have regulations on them. You know, me and Danielle almost got into it when you wrote about the unregulated thing. I'm like, I didn't want you to put the word in there.
Well, because in certain issues it was quasi unregulated because they were falling under a license that really they were doing a lot more than their license permitted, and they were doing it because of an exemption that at the end of the day I can make complete justification for why they should be under a tourism exemption, because the reason why craft breweries do so well is because of the tourism aspect of their industry.
I mean, and again, I don't think that they should. I don't like the 3-tier system as it is. So.
No, I don't either. And when the only justification that you can give me for why we have a 3-tier system is that we'll all be alcoholics if it doesn't change hand 3 times before I buy it is ridiculous.
Yeah, it costs more money that way. Because every time you go to somebody else, somebody's got to get a cut.
That's it. They're pricing you out of being an alcoholic. That's what the point is. They're just making it so expensive that you can't afford to drink on a regular basis. That's all it is.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, if I'm gonna be an alcoholic, I'm gonna be an alcoholic. It's not the price. It's like, man, I'd booze myself up to oblivion every single day if it cost $2 less.
You know, I'm sure glad they got 3 steps in this process, man, or I'd be a full-fledged alkie.
You know, it's like, man.
Did you like that hiccup part? That was.
If that beer cost $2 less, I would surely drink myself into oblivion.
Yeah, because we got the 3-tier system now, and Danielle's an alcoholic drunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, Danielle's an alcoholic now.
Practically a Jack Daniels distributor herself.
She emanates it. She sweats Jack, man.
You know,
it's like sweating Coke is what we call it now, man. It's good though. She eats some fruity stuff, man, and it's a good time. Watch out if she eats something spicy though, man. You don't want that sauce on you.
Come on, ice cream.
It's just the dumbest thing ever, and that's what their thing is.
Are you talking about the fact that you sweat Jack?
No, I'm completely ignoring all of your ridiculous comments.
You know, that hurt. Okay. That hurt. Say you're sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, this whole 3-tier system is basically just to increase the cost.
Well, and to get politicians money. Don't discount that it's there to get politicians money.
But, you have this 3-tier system to increase the cost because they figure that, you just won't drink as much and you were definitely destined for alcohol if you could afford more beer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
alcoholism.
I will tell you this, though. I would like to thank the state legislature because what they're going to do is this. They didn't pass the rule to knock these guys out yet, and they're going to give me about 7 months. Is that a good amount of time right there, Danielle?
Yeah.
7 months? Game on. We'll hit them.
Yeah.
And we'll tell them the truth. And here's the thing. I got to figure out what's going on with the guild.
Yeah.
Because the guild's giving me some worries right now.
Listen, if we're going to have a 3-tier system, do I think there has to be a line where someone has to be in it? Okay. I can even go with that rationale. I don't think there's justification for a 3-tier system. So let me be very clear. There is no justification for a 3-tier system whatsoever.
But who will protect the beer?
But if you're going to have it, you do have to have equal businesses compete equally. But let's make sure that they're equal businesses. Let's not have the garage sale have to compete with Walmart.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. That is definitely a good way of looking at it.
Yes.
So let's make sure that craft breweries, that the brewery is actually competitive with someone like Budweiser. Once they become actually competitive with Anheuser-Busch, should they have to be in the same system that Anheuser-Busch is? Absolutely. But competitive isn't 2,000 kegs compared to 80 million kegs.
I'm going to go with 800,000 kegs.
I would go with 8 million. I'd say 10%.
All right, let's go with 12 million then.
Okay.
Do I hear 15?
You need to be brewing in the millions to have to be forced to compete with Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
You have to be somewhere in the millions.
You know what? I want the distributor brewer relationship to be as voluntary as possible, by the way.
Yes.
I think that's the one thing that I would say more than anything else. I want the relationship between the brewer and the distributor to be voluntary, because if that's the case, that's what keeps everybody honest.
Yeah.
And it also allows for the competition. That keeps the price low and it keeps the service going good. That's what I'm looking for. And that's not happening the way it's being set up right now. It's forcing them into it. And when you force them into it, you're not going to get a good deal. And then that's what so irks me about this Pepin guy. Like, you're not on their side.
Well, I mean,
you're trying to co-opt the craft beer industry.
When he's saying, we're business partners, yeah, because they were forced to do business with you, and you just want to keep your monopoly.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you want to do.
But other things have happened around the state, which I've wanted to point out, not just in Tallahassee. Have you heard about the ride sharing? I talked to you a little bit about it the other day.
You did. I actually used it in an interview. I used it on the phone when I called 820 the other day.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, they were talking about light rail. I'm like, look, there's free market solutions to this that the government, if they get out of the way, we could actually have.
Yeah.
So I used it. Thank you, by the way.
Well, you're welcome. there's a thing called it's and there's two companies that do this. One is called Lyft, one is called Hub. Uber. One is called Lyft, one is called Uber. These are what's called a ride sharing service, which is is very different than like a taxi or limo service. What this is you basically contact these two companies and say, I want to be, an employee or, basically you're an independent contractor for this ride sharing. And they do a background check to make sure that, you're not a criminal because they're civilly liable for anything that you do.
That you're not a serial killer.
Yeah. So you have to go through a background check. You have to have car insurance, things like that, because again, the company is civilly liable if you do something while you're working for them.
Yeah.
So they send you out, this is how you do it. You basically log into the system. Let's say you're going to the grocery store. Or you're going even a little further, but you're going to the grocery store. You log in the address of the grocery stores, tell them the time you're going to go, and then they look for someone who needs a ride on the way from where you are to the grocery store. So that's going to be picked up and dropped off on your way. You're literally, this is where I'm going. I'm not going there because I'm picking anyone up or working as a taxi. I'm going there anyways to buy my groceries. You can pick someone up on the way, drop them off on the way to the grocery store, and get paid to do it. And it's basically like you calling up a buddy saying, hey, I'm driving to the grocery store. Do you need a ride? Yeah, I need to go to this store. Can you drop me off? Sure, no problem. Kick in some money for gas. This is almost exactly what it is, except you have a company that's, kind of getting these deals made
Facilitating
for you.
it all.
Facilitating it.
Yeah. It is very nice, by the way.
Which I like. I actually like this idea a lot.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So
I mean, I wouldn't use it, but yeah, it's brilliant.
now I might use
Got my own car, but
well, yeah. I mean, I don't need.
And I ain't giving you a ride.
Yeah. I wouldn't be a contractor for them. I wouldn't be giving people rides. But if I needed a ride and I saw this service, because it is much cheaper than a taxi service, I may do it. I mean, I don't need a ride, but if I did, I might look into it. But so, and it ends up being much cheaper because there isn't, these huge regulations and licensing and stuff. This is really someone who's not driving around looking for someone to pick up. They're just like, hey, I'm going to the store. If I can make a couple bucks on the way, why not? Yeah. So this has been, in Hillsborough, they have now said that they're going to start ticketing people.
Wait, you're making a couple bucks and we're not getting a cut? That's illegal.
Right. So this is going to be now, if you are part of this ride sharing program, you will now be ticketed, and the ticket will be anywhere from about $30 to $800.
Wow.
Now
that's a car payment.
Yeah. The justification on this is that they are not licensed taxi drivers and haven't gone through the same regulatory process as a cab service. So if they're going to act as a taxi service, they should have to be held to the same regulatory standards.
I tote people around all the time. I'm not a taxi service.
Right? Feel like one sometimes.
I know, right?
Those people didn't get the right paper from the government.
Right.
Apparently, you've never been a parent.
Right?
Because we're all taxi drivers.
Hey, are you going to soccer practice? Can you take my kid too?
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple bucks for gas. Everybody does this. Everybody.
This soccer moms are getting fined left and right.
Everybody does this. This is just literally a company that says, hey, we can get a cut. Keep prices low for everyone. And nobody is acting as a taxi. Nobody's out there driving around saying, hey, do you need a ride? Which I think is actually kind of scary, by the way, that people do that.
Well, some people hitchhike.
Yeah.
This just makes no sense at all.
Yeah. And
It really does amount to, hey, somebody's making money and we're not getting a cut.
And that's exactly what this is that, the government isn't making a cut, so they have to find a way to outlaw it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. Now, there was another one, and I'm just reading this right now. I want to know, because you talk about bills in the Florida legislature. Mm-hmm. And what happened with SB 296? This here's the thing, Danielle. This is the bill that allows you to carry your weapon in the case of an emergency. Like, you're allowed to open carry.
Oh, okay. Well, this was heard. This was actually passed through the Senate. It was heard in the House yesterday, and I'm not sure how the vote ended up going down. I'm going to look it up right now. It was supposed to be heard yesterday in the House. Now, I do think because there was a 2-hour debate on the Charlotte's Web bill, some of these did get pushed till today.
Well, it looks like this was written on my Facebook page. And I'm not going to give the person's name just yet, but honestly, I still can't believe this person was even on my Facebook page. As a Democrat, most of you know where I stand on most things that the NRA does. Therefore, as a resident of Pinellas County of Florida, I applaud Sheriff Bob Gutierrez and Senator Jack Latvala, who are both Republicans who work together to secure the safety of all Pinellas residents by helping to stop the passage of SB 296, which would have allowed any person in lawful possession to carry a firearm, carry a concealed weapon during mandatory evacuations such as hurricanes and riots. This was backed by the NRA, but our elected leaders did exactly what we voted them into office to do. Look out for our best interests. The last thing Florida needs is children walking around with guns in their backpacks during a hurricane evacuation.
Really?
Yeah. Now, the entire Sheriff's Association came out against this.
Yeah.
I cannot believe the unrealistic fantasies of extremism that people come up with.
Yep.
Children walking around with guns in their backpacks during a hurricane. That is their argument.
They would rather those be left in the houses so that criminals that stay behind can rob them of from all the places.
Or that everyone is unarmed while they're wandering the streets after their home has been destroyed, so the looters and robbers can just take whatever they want without having any opposition.
Now, this is a bill that came about because of what happened in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, when they started confiscating guns.
Well,
because the cops did such a great job of protecting everybody during that.
Now, what had happened is that people were not allowed to take their guns from their homes when they evacuated. Other people who looted the homes, because obviously they knew they were empty, were taking all the weapons. So the police came in, they called a state of emergency, and they started confiscating all the guns from everyone because of all of the weapons that were being stolen from houses. So at that point, nobody could have it because there was an issue.
Yep.
And they started confiscating all the weapons. That became obviously a problem as people were getting, killed and raped and everything else because it was open season. Everybody was a standing victim at this point.
Ask the victims from the Danziger Bridge shooting if they would have liked to have had a gun and if the cops did a fantabulous job of protecting them. Oh, wait, that's right. They were all unarmed and it was the cops that killed them.
Yeah. So all this bill would do would be that if you were to have a weapon in your home and you were told to evacuate, this only kicks in if you were told to evacuate. That when you evacuated your home, you could take your firearms with you and you could carry them concealed. You could put them in your suitcases and your bags and things like that as you evacuated. If you were not evacuating, if you were not in an evacuation area, you would not be able to carry concealed. This would not open you up to anyone around the state could just carry concealed because there's a hurricane coming. It was only if you were in a home that was under an evacuation order. And it's only so that you could take your own weapons so that they weren't there left for people to rob them and take them and do harm to others with them.
Yep.
Yeah, it really is. Well, and the other thing is this. I have found a new person to block on Facebook. I almost want to get in an argument in this one, but instead I'm just going to do the unfriend and the block. Because I don't want to see anything else that this woman ever has to say for the remainder of her days. Just despicable human beings, by the way. Just really, just despicable. The fact that you don't want people to be able to be safe, and then you want to try to go on the page of safety, is really something that is just hard to even understand or imagine. But you're a Democrat. I understand.
Yeah, and so this did pass. Actually, it did pass in the House. It's on the Senate. It was on the Senate special order calendar for yesterday. It's still on the special order calendar, so it's not that this bill can't be heard. I did see this on the calendar yesterday. They didn't get to it yesterday. It's still on the calendar. Basically, you can't put anything new on the calendar, but things that can go over, can change over from one day to the next. So this is still on there. They can hear this today. It did pass in the House, so this could get done, but it would have to get done today.
Yeah. I wonder why that woman was saying that, but
Well, people just don't understand the process.
Yeah. She's a lawyer, too.
Yeah, well, that doesn't say that she.
I don't even know how she became one of my friends, though. That's what I was worried about. That's what I was concerned with. I'm going to have to do a new scrubbing.
There was one at one point you just were allowing anyone who sent you a friend request.
I got to stop doing that. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I can tell you that
He's
right
a
now.
Facebook whore.
I'm turning into it, man. I'm turning into a Facebook elitist.
Yes, now.
If you say something I disagree with, man, I'm not even going to argue with you sometimes, man. I'll look where you're at. If you don't live in Florida, you're definitely getting blocked. And if
Right.
you're living in Florida, we'll see where you're at. If it's enough, and this lady with the gun one was enough, it's like, okay, yeah, you don't need to, me and you don't need to associate. You know? I don't understand how, look, you shouldn't have to get a permit anyway. And that she was actually just, somebody said, I don't agree with that, and here's why. And she's like, well, you should have to go get a permit in advance anyway if you want to carry a gun. Because if you didn't get a permit in advance, then you deserve to die. That's what she's saying.
I did get a permit in advance before I got my gun.
called
I got
the
that
second.
permit in 1787. It's called the Second Amendment.
Yeah. Biatch. It's just people just... they vote! She's a lawyer, for Pete's sake. I'm a Democrat and a liar, so as this, let me just say this.
Being a lawyer doesn't make you smart.
No, but no, definitely doesn't make you smart. Sometimes it makes you the opposite of that. But even though we do a couple of attorneys that are very smart.
No title means anything.
Right.
You know what they call a doctor who graduates at the bottom of his class?
A doctor.
A doctor.
Yeah.
Your title does not mean you are any smarter than anyone else or that you're any better than anyone else.
Yeah, that's still on the calendar for today.
Yeah. I hope it gets heard. I hope it passes, even though from what this person's saying, it's not going to pass. But then again, go ahead and don't pass that one, because now we can say all the Republicans are anti-Second Amendment too.
Right.
So go ahead. Again, libertarians live in a weird world. Let me tell you.
We all live in a weird world.
Well, we all live in a real world, but let me tell you our real world. No matter what, if there's legislation going on in Tallahassee, even bad legislation has a silver lining.
For us.
For us.
Yeah.
Because we're not the ones up there making the laws. So we can point out how bad those laws were and that we weren't the ones that did it. And in the state of Florida, since Republicans run the show, it was the Republicans that did it. So all this blaming the Democrats, blaming Obama, doesn't work in Tallahassee because they're not the elected representatives that are up there. It's your Republican buddies that are the representatives up there. And it looks like Bob Gutierrez, who was appointed by Rick Scott, and reelected though, but was initially appointed by Rick Scott. But Bob Gutierrez and Jack Latvala, who was so great on the craft brewery bill, now shows his true colors again as to why he shouldn't be up there. Now that he's opposing this thing, but I'm sure he's okay with it though. Whatever. These people just offend me.
And there was some amendments made to it yesterday, so this could be heard today still.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what's going to happen with this bill at the end of the day, though.
Listen, they're still looking at it, so this is not a dead bill at all.
Did Latvala vote against it?
This is just amendments. There was some amendments. He voted for the amendment.
He voted for the amendment?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to have to figure this thing out anyway, so it's going to take a little bit to figure all this stuff out. Well, we're going to be doing the after-action reports of what happened at session after today, so. Right, Danielle?
Yeah.
So, you're doing a good job.
Well, thanks. I'm literally following bills in real time as we're on the show.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, wait, what? Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
It's actually a very busy day up in Tallahassee.
Yeah,
There's a lot going on up
This is
there
like
that we need to watch.
the day of chaos in Tallahassee. And so I'm watching things change in real time and kind of, okay, this is where they're at. And then you're like, right? And I'm like, wait, okay, what did he say? Yes.
I was totally not paying attention to you. I was paying attention to the people who are stealing our liberties.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing little kind of updates here and there. I go on there and see what's moved and what hasn't. I do have to say that the Florida House has the nicest website to look to see what they're debating on at a time, and they have the best setup for how to find the bills and read them. But the Florida Senate website keeps track in real time. So the Florida House won't update for a couple hours on whatever happened. The Florida Senate updates immediately, but they are a little harder to find things on their website.
Yeah.
So I
Curious.
basically all day during, when the session is, all day I have both websites up. That one I can read easier and the other one I can track easier.
I go with that, man. It's a good time. That's America.
Technology improving our lives.
Now, since we only have a couple minutes left,
Improving the tracking ability on the stage.
yeah, I do have to go into Greg's favorite politician because Rob Ford was back in the news.
Back in for. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, Greg.
Back in the saddle again.
Uh-oh.
Yet another crack smoking video has emerged with Rob Ford, and he is going to have to take a leave of absence.
Finally, they got him. They got him. I'm sorry, Greg. I'm really sorry that they got him.
What? Sorry for what?
Well, I know that you enjoyed him so much that when he's not in office now, he's got to take a leave of
He's
absence.
only taking a leave of absence.
He's only taking a leave of absence.
He's
What are
not
you talking
leaving.
Hold on a second. If you've been busted smoking crack on video twice, and all you get is a leave of absence.
It got Marion Barry reelected. What are you talking about?
That's a good point, by the way. That's a good point, by the way. Never mind. I was going to make a Canada joke there, and it didn't work out because we're even worse than they are.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The guy didn't lose his job the first time he was caught on video smoking crack, or the next time when he was caught on video speaking in a Jamaican accent, insulting people in a drunken stupor. He's now that it's the third incident, the second with crack, only taking a leave of absence. This guy is a rock star in politics, by the way.
He is awesome. I love him.
Yeah, I don't even understand it. I mean, how does this... Well, I guess I would say... Honestly, I think if we want to get elected into office, man, we should all start smoking crack.
I want to start a heavy metal band and name it Rob Ford.
That would be awesome. Now, I do have to bring up one other politician that I love to hate, and that's Alan Grayson. Alan Grayson is trying to annul his 24-year marriage to his wife because he's claiming she's a bigamist.
Wow.
You can't get an annulment after 24 years.
He's claiming that she did not get a divorce from her first husband until 4 years after they were married.
Is that true?
I don't know. I haven't seen all the paperwork, but that is what he's claiming at this point. Now, they're in the middle of a divorce. She claimed that he beat her. He's come back and said, well, she's a bigamist and I want an annulment.
Wow. Alan Grayson is, without a doubt, one of the most despicable human beings on the planet.
People do more due diligence buying a car than they do getting into a relationship. You mean she was married for 4 years while you were married to her and you knew nothing about this?
Yeah, you shouldn't be a congressman, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm going to vote for you.
You shouldn't be a lawyer.
You're that clueless?
I sure hope he's not on
He
some
was a
kind
lawyer.
of oversight committee.
Yeah.
I don't think oversight is his strong suit.
No.
Oh God, he's such a pathetic human being. These people, it really does suck that we have just the most disgusting people in politics, man. It really is. It's you know why good people don't want to get involved in politics? Rob Ford and Alan Grayson are two good examples of this.
What's wrong with Rob Ford? He likes to have a good time. He speaks his mind. He saved the city over $1 billion. As a legislator, he's fine. Personally, maybe you don't like it. Maybe you don't like his vices. I understand that. That's cool. His job, he did wonderfully.
Look, I'm anti-crackhead in office. I'm just saying.
He speaks his mind in a Jamaican accent in a drunken stupor.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're smoking. You save my city $1 billion, I will vote for you again.
That is a good point, though. That actually is a good point.
I actually have to
Maybe
give
we
in.
should start hiring crackheads.
I'm telling you, man.
Well, they know how to get things cheap.
Yeah. They're bargain hunters.
They are bargain hunters. Did we just call crackheads bargain hunters, by the way?
We absolutely did.
Is this where the show has ended today? We have ended the show with crackheads are bargain hunters. Oh, man. I apologize. I apologize to the probably 5 people that are still listening.
Well, we only started with like 8.
That's true. Wow.
If we only pissed off 3, we were doing pretty good.
I am going to get Rob Ford to be a regular listener, though. I think I'm probably the only person who has any kind of microphone or anything, who gets any attention, who actually supports this man.
You should be the president of the Rob Ford fan club.
I should be.
Yeah,
I should be his campaign manager.
Hey, to be honest with you, you want to know what your level of coolness will hit the supernova? When you can get a Rob Ford for mayor T-shirt.
Oh, that is my next goal.
When you can get one of those shirts.
I want like an official campaign T-shirt.
No. I'm saying you got to figure out a way to talk to somebody in Canada who lives where he lives to go to a campaign event and find a T-shirt that says Rob Ford.
Yeah, not just make one of your own on
No. Don't do that's cheating.
Yeah. No, you have to get an official campaign T-shirt. Like, send them some clips
And a
of you
yard
talking.
sign.
Yeah. Send them some clips of you with your love fest of Rob Ford on air. And be like, listen, I'll wear it on air. We stream live with cameras. I'll be on camera.
Get a hat. Get a hat too.
I want a hat, a shirt, a yard sign,
And
a bumper sticker.
A bumper sticker, a button.
Yeah.
You need the whole swag package.
You need a swag package from Rob Ford.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm about as far from Toronto as you can get and still be in the
But there's a
developed
lot
world.
of Canadians that listen. Hey, there's a lot of Canadians that listen to the show down in Tantalk, so you might have a justification there.
I'm getting in touch with Rob Ford's campaign this afternoon.
God, I hope you can do it.
I'm going for it. I want the T-shirt at least.
You got to do it, man. You got to do it. If you do it, man, you will. Your coolness level will hit supernova, my friend. It really will. Get one for Danielle too, because I want Danielle sporting a Rob Ford T-shirt. Are you going to get one, Danielle?
I'll wear one if Greg gets
Here's
it.
the thing: what you get is the competition. The guy that was the competition that only smokes weed. I want the debate between weed and crack on the air.
Yeah.
You're going to be the surrogate for that guy, and you're going to be the surrogate for Rob Ford, and we're going to have the debate. We're going to get into the important subjects of the day, and we're going to talk about this because this needs to be talked about. I am sick and tired of being demonstratized by the crackheads. Go weed.
And on that note, we cue the music.
That's how we're ending.
And that's the way it was. For May 2nd, 2014, this is Alex Snicker, sounding like Walter Cronkite, listening to the Liberty Underground show. Have a good day.
I believe in peace, but I won't be taken.